You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Kev Green from BRC Global, and you are live in the doghouse right now. If you're watching this, make sure you share it. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe.
What's up, y'all? We back in the doghouse. Robbie Mitchell, 47 Built. Got a special guest here with us.
Don with Don Pit Kennels, Don K9 Training. How's it going? How's it going?
Solomon, fresh off from Cali. Train as well. Also got a background in horse training as well.
Sweet. And it's Kyle Lynette with Rocky Mountain Rugged Bullies.
All right, y'all. We want to get into a little bit with dog training. So we got a couple questions. So I guess I'll start off with a couple that I have personally. What do you think would be the basis for people to know when they get a puppy? Like, what's the first thing you think they should know in training, like starting off training with the puppy?
The first question usually people will start off is, what should I do when I get my dog? What should I do? I usually try to go back and get them started before they get the dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm asking, why are you getting the dog? What kind of dog are you looking for? And what lifestyle do you have? Because then that's going to then help you after step one. A lot of times people start kind of contradictory, lifestyle to breed. You know, and that often ends up with training and behavior issues.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So the first step I would say is to kind of match the dog to yourself, to your lifestyle, to your energy, to your activity style, to your research. Yeah, what kind of dog do you want?
What fits your lifestyle?
And what kind of dog then you'll find out what kind of dog you don't want along the way as well.
Yeah,
which is you'll self-educate. That's the
I feel
first
like
step.
that's a lot of the reasons why dogs end up in the pound.
Oh, for sure.
Because people don't realize the energy they have,
Right.
the lifestyle they need,
Right.
and then they just give
Work
up on the dog.
requirement, right? Yeah.
Well, look at the posts that you see even on Facebook when people are trying to rehome a dog. It's oh, it's got too much energy. I feel bad because I don't have enough time for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, well,
Most people think of that. They gotta
think
take
about
my dog every 2 hours.
And they have a Australian Shepherd or like a Collie Mix. They have some type of dog with a high drive.
High
speed,
energy,
you know?
yeah.
Why is it biting people?
Yeah, why does it keep nipping at my feet?
It's a healer or a husky or a collie, and it's like, why is it active? Why is it chewing stuff?
So the way I see it though is like, to me, like an analogy I could use, dogs and kids are equivalent. So a dog is only going to get away with what you allow to get away with. Okay. Like there has to be an alpha. There has to be like a pet. Like if the dog doesn't see you as alpha, the dog's going to do whatever it wants to do.
That's true.
So you have to be the leader. And then if like you have other people in the house along with you, they all got to be on the same page. Like you can't have me as the alpha and then my wife lets the dog do whatever you want. Then my daughter lets it, like everybody got to be on the same page. Okay. So I think they all should go through the training on, because there's handler and then there's dog. Right. They all should go through the same handling courses. They all should. The dog should look at the same level of skill. Exactly. That dog should look at everybody in the house as alpha.
Right. How do you establish yourself as an alpha?
Educate yourself, honestly, first and foremost. Like you said, you want to be seen as a leader to that dog. Well, what leader doesn't know their job?
Right.
You can't lead other people to do the job if you don't know the job. Hey, let's go to work, and they're looking at you like, what if you do? And you're looking at them like, I don't know. Well, nothing gets done, or it's chaotic when you can't give people, point people in a direction. Right. And again, I tell a lot of my customers, I'm training new dogs with new people, so I expect no one to know anything. I expect you to. But I also tell my customers, your dog doesn't know that you don't know anything. Fake it till you make it. Right. Pretend you're a good leader. Yeah. Because that's what the dog's going to be relying on, what you don't do. It's going to know what you don't do. Right. So even sometimes, as you might be a new manager in a job position, and they give you a new project, you've never done this project. You can't let your coworkers know you've never done this project, or they're going to fall off your leadership and question everything you do. You fake it until you make it as a leader, and that'll get you there. You know what I'm saying? Also, that'll get you there as you educate yourself. Right. And if you got a trainer, they should help you get there. But everything should tie back to you.
My main thing is discipline and obedience.
Discipline.
It has to be discipline and obedience. Like your dog shouldn't be jumping all over your furniture. Your dog shouldn't be chewing your furniture. If somebody rings the doorbell and somebody comes in your house, say they just came home Sunday from church, your dog shouldn't be running up there jumping on it. Mm-hmm. You know, your dog it's gotta be boundaries. Like your dog should have his own place in the house. So if you're sitting back and you want to relax and watch TV, your dog should have like a doggy bed or his own little area where you can just chill. You can't be running around the house, shitting in the house, pissing in the house, marking the territory, biting. You can't, like my dog, like me personally, my dogs, when I'm chilling and watching TV, the dog gotta lay on his bed and watch TV. If I'm laying in bed and he's gonna be in the room with me, he can't get in my bed because that's my bed and that's my space. But he's gonna have his bed right next to mine. Okay. So it has to be discipline and obedience. Okay. If not, the dog's just gonna run wild. You ain't gonna be able to control it.
I think I agree with a big part of what you said is like dogs getting on like the furniture, getting on.
Yeah, don't play that.
People, I think give like the dogs too much, too much. How should I say?
Too much freedom.
Yeah,
too much
freedom. You know what I mean? And then the wonder why stuff's getting destroyed.
It's like a spoiled child. That's what it is.
So what it comes down to is liberty to a dog is the same thing as authority. If you don't tell me what to do, then I technically am allowed to do what I want.
Sure.
And some breeds more so than others.
And especially with a lot of these working breeds, more so than others, they're already innately going to make decisions without giving direction. They're supposed to dominate.
Right.
So they don't look for a leader when you're built to dominate. But again, you have a lot of people who like to put their dog on the bed, who like to put their dog on the couch.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. I
For them.
don't see that as a
Not
problem.
for me, but
I don't see that as a problem as long
Right.
as you've still established authority, hierarchy, and possessive. Because those things, that line gets blurred real fast when you let the dog have freedom. Freedom. It gets blurred. The dog's thinking, oh, well, you don't tell me not to get off, so I can get on whenever I want, how I want, and do what I want with it. That's how your items in the house get chewed on, peed on. You're thinking, he should know better. It's mine. Well, he thinks it's his. Obviously. You know what I'm saying? To some degree, the dog thinks it's his. So you can allow your dog to share things with you. But sharing has to be done under the guise that it's yours, it's not the dog's. You know, I mean, that's a possessiveness. You know, I mean, we all know dogs are very possessive by nature. If you own a dog, they're very possessive over whether it's their toy, their food bowl, their kennel, their dog bed. They're going to be possessive over something. Even another dog in the house, they could be possessive over, or a family member.
Yeah.
So we can't allow them to, like I said, have the freedom to make their own decisions.
And it can cause issues in relationships. So where if you get into a new relationship, and your dog's used to sleeping in the bed with you every night, and this dude or female tries to come over and your dog tries to attack him because you're in that dog, it's his bed now.
And you can't tell the
Because
dog
you
no.
never set the boundaries.
And it happens.
It happens,
You can't tell
bro.
them no.
Yeah.
It's his. Yeah, you can't tell them no. Especially the stranger can't tell them no.
I've been in this situation just because of my background. I'm like, the dog getting on the bed, and that's just what it is. And she's like, my dog doesn't listen to anybody. How did you do that? Because like your dog knows that I'm alpha. It's just like, you have a little ass kid, acting up and being belligerent, and then somebody come over that's alpha. The kid's gonna listen.
Right.
So it's like I said, kids and dogs are equivalent. They're gonna do whatever you allow them to get away with. Okay. I'm like I'm loving with my dogs, but I'm very strict and structured too. Like, you're not gonna get on my bed, you're not gonna chew up my furniture, you're not gonna pee in the house, you're not gonna shit in the house. You're gonna do exactly what I say. I'm gonna be loving and play with you and shit, but there has to be boundaries. When I open up the front door, you can't just run out. If I open up the backyard, you can't just run out. You have to stay there behind that line until I say, okay, you can come on. Same with going back in now. We get going 2-hour walk. And I get ready to go back in the house. You can't come in the house unless I invite you in. So everything is structured with me.
Right, and this is being accountable as an owner, really, because you have to take in, you have to take into thought that this is something that you're taking responsibility for.
Right.
Because if not, and it's also a reflection of you.
Oh, yeah. The time that you invest into it. The time you invest into it. Period.
Somebody comes over to your house, they see this dog, they say, oh, you do, how much you invest in this, how much for this dog, and then they see how it acts, this dog acts a fool.
Right.
That's how much it costs first, and then they're going to judge how it acts. They go, you got this expensive dog looking a fool. Right. And then you just look back because you didn't capitalize on your investment.
Right. Just saying, like, I always use the kid and dog analogy. So, like, if you have a kid that's a menace in the school system, where are you going to end up in juvie, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a dog that's a menace in your house or in the streets, you're going to end up in the dog pound. But it's the owner's fault. And one thing that irritates me, because there's been times where I'll go to my customers' houses and I'll work with their dog for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it takes, or I'll keep their dog for a month and then take it back to them, and then I'll show them how to work the dog. Like, because there's the dog and then there's handlers, so I'll teach them how to handle their dog. But so it's like I downloaded this information to your dog. I'm going to show you how your dog works. Right. But see, they think they'll pay me $2,500, $3,500 to train their dog, and they think it's a one-time fix. No, this is every day. Boom. This is not a one-time deal. You have to do this every day.
Listen to this.
And I've had people call me, oh, this doesn't work. No, my training worked. I did my job. You didn't follow through.
The repetition.
You know what I mean? It's like if you put a kid through boot camp for a year, and then he comes back on, you put him in the same environment that you take him out of, and he starts acting bad again. It's because you, as a parent, didn't do your job to stick with what he just went through with the boot camp. So it's your fault as the handler. It's not the dog. I always say it's not even the dog's fault. It's the handler's fault. 100%. If the handler is not doing their due diligence to keep up with what you taught that dog, you just wasted your money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep. And I get that. That's the most irritating thing with meeting clients is when I train their dog.
It's upkeep.
Yeah.
Lack of upkeep.
And see, I'm even cool. I'll even do 10 follow-ups after that. I'll be like, call me anytime that I'm an entrepreneur. You can call me anytime that don't matter, and I'll come and I'll fix your dog. I'll brush it up on some stuff that you said he's lacking on. But it's like, but that's just
You
gonna give
never
you more
get that
referrals.
phone call. You probably never get that phone call too often.
No, you know
the
what?
dog is already acted out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The dog does something
A
that they
couple
don't
months
like.
down the road, 6 months down the road, and they're
Then
calling
I'm
you
like,
going,
dude, why didn't you call me earlier? So I'm gonna fix it anyway. But it's like,
and like, how much
you
work
have
have
to
you
keep
done
up.
before you
Yeah.
called me? Oh, it's been a while. I've been busy. Well,
don't
that's
know
a
anything.
reflection of the dog's regression.
Yeah.
They have a misconception that it's a one-time fix. That's not it. This is forever. That's like when you're a parent forever.
Right.
That's like you don't say, I'm gonna put my kid through school and then I'm not gonna be a parent no more.
Oh, when
you
they
have to,
turn
you have to
18,
be this.
I'm done.
You know what I mean? It's forever.
But just to relate it to being a parent as well, like a lot of people with their dogs, they let go of the reins too soon. And I'll say this is it's an age thing. They're thinking, oh, he's harmless as a puppy, so I give him a lot of freedom. And then he's older and he's more dangerous, so now I want to bring him back. Or he was already a great dog, so I'm gonna let him go too soon. I'm gonna give him freedom too soon. Well, just like great to a kid, you can have a perfect 7, 8, 9-year-old. And then all of a sudden, as soon as they become a teenager,
Different.
every rule they try to, contest
Right.
every rule. It doesn't matter if they know better. Now let's say again, you got a child that was a perfect student. Now they go through teens. Through their teens, they're trying and pushing every boundary. Let's say you let go of them during those teens. You're going to then have an unruly teenager that's most likely going to turn into a unruly adult, right? An adult that most of the type of adults that we avoid.
It carries over.
Right? Same thing to a dog.
Right.
If you let that dog go too soon and you're thinking, oh, he's already good, or you don't put enough investment in beforehand, now he's a year old, year and a half, and most of dogs in the pound, most of the dogs that I train, most of the dogs that I do behavior with, most of the dogs that aggression work with, are all between the age of 1 to 2 years old. Most of them. It says 80% of the dogs that I do behavioral work with are between the age of 1 to 2. But most of the people have literally given the dog too much freedom or not enough structure between that age, and then they expect it to be a good dog. It's like, well, he's still a puppy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you give a toddler or teenager your car keys, your wallet, and your phone and tell them to go have and go be productive?
Right.
No, he's probably gonna be in jail, crash your car, and max out your car.
It's gonna be rough.
So it's gonna be rough. You can't give a dog that much freedom before they've mastered being, being a pup, as well. So it's the same thing as being a
Right.
kid.
And the things that you think are cute in your dog as a pup, like he going at the people, biting on your pant leg,
Jumping on
and
people.
nipping at your hand, it's cute at 8 weeks. But at 8 months, and he does that, he's gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like you gotta establish dominance. I start my dogs early, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks we training. Because by the time they get 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, they already on point. And there's other dogs that's a year, 2 years old, and they wild. My dog's is on point just early because I started them so young. And that's just like, think about Tiger Woods. He started golf when he was hella young. Who was his coach? The daddy. You know what I mean? The
Authoritative figure.
Right.
Authoritarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Williams sisters.
around
The
there.
Williams sisters.
Authoritarian
They started
from
tennis at a young age. Who was their coach?
Built discipline.
So it's the same thing with a puppy. So I got whatever dog, we could say Rocco. And he's just went to national or whatever. Who was the coach? Me. So it's the same thing. It's the same concept. Your dog will go as far as you want it to. You just got to build that bond and that relationship with your dog. And it has to start young, if you get them young. Or
If you get 'em young,
If
yeah.
you get them young. And the same thing if you get one at 1 or 2 years old. You gotta
start it right away. Then
Right
if
away.
it's missing it, you gotta start it right away. You can't skip that.
Because
intro.
play turns
The
into
intro's gonna
violence.
completely dictate your relationship as
Right.
well when you've got an adult dog.
Right, 'cause
That's
it-
also why you have that's also you and me as trainers, we come from an authoritative, dominant relationship with
be
dogs.
you.
We don't give dogs the opportunity to disrespect us and to perpetuate it.
Right.
Our intro is established and it has to stay the same. So
Right.
when you come in, when your dog doesn't know you, you fake it till you make it. The dog, that makes sense technically. The dog doesn't know what I don't know. So if I back up or if I falter as a character to this unknown dog, well, now I forever have to build that back. But again, if my intro's solid, that dog's gonna know, oh, this dude ain't nothing to play with. I should go ahead and respect his authority, and it makes the rest of my relationship easier.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people don't do when they adopt an older dog. They
And
kind
it's
of want to
smart.
appease it. They want to appease the older dog's history instead of giving it immediate structure. And like if we can again going back to kids, let's say you were fostering a kid that had detention issues. You can't go, I know you had a rough childhood, so I'm going to let you do whatever the hell you want in my
Right.
house. You can come whenever you want. You can dress how you want. You can talk how you want. No. If that child had a rough background, what's the best thing to do for him? Structure.
Yeah.
Structure immediately. He may hate it, he may not like it, but once he understands structure, routine, and structure doesn't bend, and your character doesn't falter, you actually gain respect. You get responsiveness. You get predictable behaviors. Right, and then you get a lot less problems.
And dogs are smart, but they know how to manipulate. Like, he can look at me in alpha, and then I can be like, I need you to watch my dog. I go out of town. He ain't gonna listen to shit you say. Because he knows it's your energy. They feed off of that shit. They know. Like my dog, he could be testy with other people, but he will never do that with me. But he just knows if you soft, he just knows. He'll take advantage of that shit. So like some people can like they can kind of mess up your dog in the sense is if they don't keep that same domineering.
Well, you said everybody has
Expectations.
Right.
It's an expectation thing,
What'd
right?
you say?
Like how you said earlier, everybody in the house got to be on the same page.
Everybody got to be on the same page. Because that can mess the
Everyone
dog
has a
up.
status and expectation.
Right.
Right.
It'll mess the dog up. Like if I put all this training to my dog and he's on point every time and I go out of town for 2 weeks and I come back, the couch is chewed up, there's shit in the living room, it's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. It's like, okay, it's like substitute teacher. What happens when a substitute comes in? All the kids want to act up. It's the same thing with us. It's the same exact thing.
With an unexperienced handler or
It's
a
the same
handler that the
thing.
dog doesn't
And dogs
recognize
know.
authority. If the dog
Right.
recognizes authority, he's going to treat you like a substitute.
Or like horses, right?
You know?
Horses know if you're an experienced rider or not, and they know if you're not. Like I've got on a horse and he's tried to test me, and I'll just put him in a circle. Or I'll take him in a circle again,
Slam his little head.
and then he knows. He's like, oh, okay, this guy's on point. If you put somebody on who's scared, man, that horse is gone. He gonna take off. Might even throw you too. But they know animals know that they're smart. Animals are more smarter than people give them credit for. They know. They can feel your energy.
By a horse. Put on the ground. Don't put me up.
They know, bro. Animals know. They smart, man.
Yeah, that's smart.
I deal with snakes too.
Oh, man, I don't know about
I don't want to snakes. You got that by yourself.
See, but I like to but see with animals though, I like conquering them. So a snake is a spiritual animal in the sense that they don't make no noise, they don't talk, you don't walk them on a leash. They gotta trust you on a spiritual level. And then I've had snakes and they just try to bite, and then 24 hours I got them chilling in my hand. So I like taking animals and being able to break them down and just knowing I got that trust and I can have the relationship with them. And it's funny because I can come in and pick up one of my snakes. And then I know this is off topic of dog, but it's all animals. But I can go and pick up one of my snakes, and then I can have somebody else come and hold it, and my snake's gonna act different. I'm like, he acting different because he know you scared, and I pick him up and he's cool again. So everything is energy, man. Animals that they
I
just
seen the movie Anacondas. I ain't about.
Oh no, I don't got nothing that big. I think my biggest snake is like 4 feet. That's the biggest. I don't do like a 10 footers or 20 footers. But you know what's funny? I used to be just like that though. Like I remember my boy was like, man, you either carry this snake or I'm gonna throw him on you. So I was like, okay, man. And I held it, and it was after that I was like, oh, this is cool. This ain't nothing. I used to be I was in the corner. I had no choice, bro.
His ass off. You throw me, I'm knocking him out the air. Sorry, I ain't picking him up either. He just gonna be there.
So I'm just an animal lover overall.
That's all love, but
I love animals, but snakes,
No, it was like, it helped me overcome my fear. That's how I look at it. It was like animals was like something I was definitely scared of. Like snakes was something I was definitely scared of until I had to hold it. And then it was like, this ain't bad at all. And then I ended up liking them. Now I breed them and sell those too.
Yes, I got a dog. Had to get over being scared.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up with pits.
Conquering
with
your fear.
pits.
Right.
Your original 90s version of pit bulls, keep them separated. If they see another dog, they go off until their dog's not in sight. And that's the type of dogs I grew up with. Thought that was just standard and typical for a breed and just in general. But low key, I got my hands dirty. I got baptized by breaking up dog fights, you know. I was never low key scared of a dog because of what I had to do just at a young age.
Right.
And that kind of graced me with the steel nerves that I got to walk up to a lot of the dogs I train today. And I deal with a lot of dog aggression. And I accept it. I like a dog. I like dog aggression. Technically, I do it in a very calm place. I go from a calm place. It's
control.
So let me ask you
I go
this.
from a calm place.
Right.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's your most effective way of breaking up dog fights? Because if you own dogs, you got two males that are intact, and there's a female one, they're going to fight.
So let's talk about this.
So go ahead.
Right? How do you bring up a dog fight? That is a great one.
So what's your best way?
Yeah, how do you bring up a dog fight?
where the damn popcorn at?
Okay, so we say what you don't do, or what you
No.
do?
So what's your
Hell yeah, it's a lot of what
I
you
got
don't do, what you
I
say.
got my most effective method. What's yours?
Okay, well,
For your that works for you.
if it was 2 dogs I didn't know, let's go off 2 dogs I didn't know. With my own dogs, it's really not an issue. I can really get about a command, and 1 or both dogs will stop. That cuts out half the fight. But let's say it's 2 dogs I didn't know. If I was breaking up 2 dogs I didn't know, first thing I'm gonna want and need is a leash on 1 or both dogs, and or a belt. A leash or a belt. If I don't have a leash, I gotta make a leash with a belt. Because I'm gonna
Don't
need
use
to.
your hands is what you're
Don't
saying.
use your hands to
Don't
hold
use
the
feet.
dog. Don't use your hands to hold the dog. Hitting it and kicking it's really not gonna help.
Nope.
And if it does let go, it may just redirect on you, which doesn't help you break up the fight. If now you're part of the fight.
Now you are.
Now you're in the fight, you know,
Yeah.
you're in it, so you can't really break it up.
Dogs are in the red zone. And
Right,
they're just
yeah.
biting everywhere.
A lot of times once they
don't know.
get into a certain level of anxiety and they just snap at the nearest thing to them, and they'll snap and hold,
Yep.
which doesn't leave you in a good position when that you can't get it off.
Well, you're
That's
freaking
right.
out.
And now you're freaking out. So
Never works.
first thing I would really do is again have a leash for both dogs. If you don't have a leash already on that dog, then use a belt, and you want to put it around the dog's neck to be able to restrain it for when you break it up. This is for when you break it up.
Okay.
Most people make the mistake of trying to grab it by the leg, by the collar, sometimes by the collar, by the fur, and what happens when it slips? Well, it's gonna jump back in and regrip on a bite again. So you want to avoid the opportunity of the dog to regrip again. So having a leash on both dogs is essential. If you're there by yourself, tie one dog up and then break up the other dog. If you're working with somebody, both of you pull the opposite direction, right? That's the best thing to do, is to minimize the bite sites. A lot of times you're pulling this dog off, so it's biting here, biting here, biting here. Well, now you've got multiple bite sites. If you don't have a lot of help, leave the one bite site and restrain the dog that is chewing. You know, restrain the dog that is chewing, or restrain the dog that is being bit.
Because there's always one that's an attacker, and then there's
Restrain the dog that is the victim, technically. The one that is receiving the bite, restrain that dog.
Okay.
Reason why is you want to pull the aggressive dog away. If you have the aggressive dog back tied, and you end up maybe getting a chance to, I'll get to that part, releasing the grip. If you release the grip and the non-victim dog is still in place, it's going to get bit again. You get what I'm saying? So it's better to have the aggressive dog being the one ejected out of the fight. You get what I'm saying? So you're going to either have two people pulling to opposite directions, or tie up the victim, the dog that's being bit, and be pulling the opposite direction of the aggressive dog. Next move is going to be a collar choke. A lot of people are kicking, punching, trying to burn the nose, eye gouge it, put water in his mouth. That really doesn't work, and then again, you most likely could end up injuring both or one of your dogs, and now you've killed the dog trying to break up a dog fight, or something like that. So a collar choke is a pretty common technique that most dog trainers who work with aggression, personal protection, things like that know how to do. So, boy, it's hard to demonstrate without a dog, but a collar choke is just an upright movement, straight up and forward. You're pulling up and forward, which is going to activate the actual gag reflex. Every animal has one, and there's no such thing as lockjaw. So we can go ahead and knock that one off the table while we're talking about it. It's a theory, and it's not even a theory, it's a myth.
Yeah, myth. That's what it is.
It's even less than a theory. It's a myth.
Yeah.
There's no difference between the structure of a pit bull's jaw and the structure of a chihuahua's. And I've got a Frenchie that'll hold on for 2 minutes. So it doesn't really, and it's got an underbite. It's got an underbite. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about the breed. It's about the dog's actual determination and stubbornness. You know, so we've done it. We've seen pocket bullies hold on, and American bulldogs through power hangs. You know, we've all seen it. So there's no locking mechanism. We've seen exotics do this with underbites. You know what I'm saying?
Different dudes trying to pull up the
American bulldog. You know, we've seen all. There's no locking mechanism in the jaw, so we can always take that off the table. What you want to do is engage that gag reflex, and every animal's going to have one, right? So ideally, you're going to be pulling up and forward, engaging that gag reflex. As soon as that dog chews, you're going to want to pop. That's your pop out moment, you know, especially if you're causing tension on both ends. That's your moment to separate that fight. And that's the most and quickest effective way to do it that I've done, that especially with two people with, you can't tell someone else's dog what to do, and I can't tell your dog what to do, so I can't be saying, hey, stop biting my dog. Well, that's not working, right? I've got to obviously go mechanical.
Right.
So that's what's going to help
your
you
dog,
mechanically.
Handle your dog already.
Handle your dog.
Dogs don't care at that point.
All my customers, I teach this to, not in the event that their dog might be the one attacking, but their dog might get bit. So they may need to break up someone's dog off theirs. Right. So this technique can save your dog from even being hurt even further. You know what I mean? So a collar choke is safe and effective, and it's quick, especially if you do it right.
Yeah. So adding to what he said, that's my number one way to
See,
stop dog fights.
he already knows. That's the number one way that anybody who's trained.
Number one, I always take a leash, I make a noose out of it,
Yeah.
I put it right on the nape of the dog's neck, I choke him out, because if he can't breathe, he can't bite. So as soon as he, like that, I pull him out, I put him in the sliding glass, close that, and boom, just like that. Every time.
Maximum damage averted. That's the idea we want to think of. We want maximum damage to be averted.
That's the best way.
We perpetuate the fight because we're doing ineffective tactics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we prolong it. We actually make more damage because we don't know how to break it up effectively.
Well,
If you do one quick move, you're pulling and it's regripping, and you're pulling muscle and skin.
Right.
If you were to literally let that one bite go, collar choke that dog and pull down and up at the same time, in literally an angle, not like this, because the dog can get friction and pop forward. It can lunge forward.
Right.
Pull at an angle. One dog down, one dog up.
It's like
That'll
right
bring
behind
that
his
moment,
ear.
right behind the neck.
You just
up
choke
high.
him out. Once you choke him out, that's the best way.
Don't go hitting your dogs.
It's
with
not
That makes it worse. For my dogs, because mine are drivey, it makes them worse. They're
Same
gonna
with
dig
mine.
in harder.
Same with mine. It's gonna work your
Yeah.
dog harder. He's trained to not give up. He likes the fight.
All the water holes and hitting them, that don't work.
That's
that
not
would
you're
get
gonna
brutal.
drown him before you
It
break
don't
him
work.
up. You're
Yeah.
gonna kill him and then you can't resuscitate him.
Choking out is the best. I always said if a dog can't breathe, he can't bite.
Right.
So that's the best
Like I was
way.
saying earlier, it's quick too because you got to think they're already in kind of like the moment. They're
Panic
kind
mode.
of out of breath. So
Oh, yeah.
you take that 0.2 seconds of taking
His breath
what
away.
they have of breath away.
Right.
They're gonna.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the time to separate them and, and what irritates the hell out of me is when I'm breaking up other people's dogs, especially if it's women, they're screaming, and they're like, you're making it worse. Shut it, like, just go away, because you're making it worse, because they're feeding off of that energy. They're feeding off of you
Yeah.
screaming and panicking, like, just go away. Let me just do this by myself, because you're making it worse for me.
Or then they stand there and like want to nag and say, "Man, like, oh, we just broke with the dog fight," but you're still standing within fighting distance. It's like this isn't the time to argue.
Are you hitting the
It's
dog?
like
Stop
back
hitting
up,
them. You're making it worse. Like
if
my
we
dog,
break distance.
that turns them up. That don't make them stop. It makes them mad when they dig in.
Certain dogs for sure are gonna drive in.
I'll be
more.
like,
Your
dude,
dog,
stop
you're gonna
screaming.
get hurt. You're gonna hurt the other dog, or you turn around and lash
I
at
see
you.
one lady grab the back dog's back 2 legs. I'm like, what are you doing?
I've seen back legs. I've
Stupid.
seen people hit him in the nuts.
I've seen people hit him in the head with a
lighters,
shovel, all that
pepper
stuff.
spray.
Don't
I've
work.
seen a
The
lot of
quickest
stuff.
way is to choke them out. That's
A
the
bully
fastest.
here got beat up by a bat. And
Yeah.
one of our friends.
We're not gonna say names, but someone took a bat to the dog.
During
they
the dog
couldn't.
fight.
They couldn't.
Yeah.
break
Couldn't
him
break up a
apart.
fight.
Mm-hmm.
I
Went
hit
to
him
beating
so
the dog's
hard,
head and.
Telling you.
and then he lost his
Eyes
vision.
bulged out.
Choke out is the best.
The
That's the
dog
most effective.
didn't stop the fight. It
Yeah,
just
that
kicked.
was
Yeah, it was gonna be during the dog.
Yeah,
You
he's
know.
okay now. But
I
that
knew a
was
lady
horrible.
too.
They said the collar choke could
Dogs
literally be
are
2-3
champions.
seconds
Yeah, I
max. It
know.
could be 2 seconds. 1-2. By 3 seconds, if you're doing it effectively, it'll work. If you're doing it 3 seconds, is the longest that it takes.
I've never done it this way, but there was a lady that I used to deal with. She was like, she used to transport my dogs for me. She was in Texas. She said her effective way, she had cattle prods. And she just hit them right here on the
That's
neck.
my thing.
She just hit them and then it
Sorry.
stopped. Hit the other ones.
It stops them though. Yeah.
Right. Then she said,
A lot of people look at me like, Kyle, you're inhumane for
Yeah,
zapping
but
your
then she
dog.
said-
I'd rather zap my dog than stitch my dog up any
She said it
Or
gets to
bury 'em.
She said it got
bury my
to
dog.
Some
She
of
said
us
it
live
got-
differently. We understand
Yeah.
that. You know.
Right. She said it got to a point though where if her dog even looked like they were gonna go at each other or start growling, she would just go and then they would back up.
Yeah.
Okay, well
Back
think
up.
of this though. Think of this. People train their dogs on
Shock
shock
collars.
collars.
E-collars.
No, it's
E-collars.
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just without having to have your dog on and trying to find that damn remote every time you need it and switch the damn beep beep beep. All right, to however many dogs you got.
Yeah, when he's sitting there with on the wrong dog.
Right.
Grandpa on the wrong dog. Yeah.
You know,
Battery's dead. Hey, the PlayStation gone.
So man,
Now I gotta kick this damn dog. My damn remote don't work.
so I don't know.
It don't really stop them though. It's just like when you go to like the chiropractor, they put that electrical stimulus on you. That's basically all it is.
Tenses up the muscle.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just basically it's just like a portable leash. So you could be he could be 100 yards out, and then I can just kind of in his nose instead of you.
These are good things to know. Like if you take your dog to like let's say a dog park,
Dog
you know,
park.
this is an inevitable thing.
AKA
Dude. It's
the
gonna
fight club.
happen. You know.
Don't take your dogs to dog parks.
Please
I don't
don't.
know. I
Avoid
know.
dog parks.
Unless you're trying to go for the title belt, because I know they probably got a champion in there.
I don't take my dog parks. My dog's dog park for this reason. It's not my dog that I'm worried about. Like it's everybody else's dog.
Right.
And then my dog's gonna smash on your dog because your dog started it, and then I'm gonna look like the bad guy because my dog is smashing on your dog.
Yeah.
I hate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we deal with a breed that usually can handle itself, and then it's the owner. Then it's the owner that can't handle their dog,
Right.
and then their dog gets handled.
Well, I
And
warn
then
them. I'm like, man,
you're the
please
bad
get your
guy,
dog.
you
Because if
know?
you don't, I'm gonna let mine go, and your dog is gonna get smashed on.
Yeah.
So I'm warning you, please get your dog, because obviously you don't have control over this motherfucker.
Right.
Or I'll just put my dog and I'll put him in the downstate, and then I'll handle that dog. Like, here you go.
Right.
You can go over there. You know what I mean?
My
Or your
fail
dog-
safe because I've dealt with so many people who don't know a damn thing about even how to
It's
handle their
annoying,
dog.
bro.
My fail safe is just to teach my dog not to react first.
Right.
I have a breed that doesn't need a reason to react first.
Right.
Let's put it like that. I have a breed that doesn't really oftentimes need a
That's
reason.
what they're bred for.
That's what they're bred for. So
Right.
I train my dogs to literally look at me when another dog is aggressive towards them. So literally, the dog will be barking, they'll stop and look like,
Right.
should I, can I? And I'm
What
like,
do I do?
should I, can I?
Please?
Oh yeah. Sometimes I tell them, get him, especially if the dog's off leash
Yeah.
and your dog won't stop him. I'm not gonna keep my
Oh,
dog
yeah,
leashed
this
up
is
so it's
straight.
at a disadvantage.
Oh, if it's a
that's his
straight
advantage.
dog,
So
yeah.
I told him,
Yeah.
get him.
If it's a
Because
straight dog,
you're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
let
hold
my
him
dog
back.
go.
We're not gonna hold him back, and he's gonna lose a fight to a straight dog. We're
If
gonna
it's straight, I'm gonna let him work.
probably work together.
He gonna
We're
get
gonna work together on that dog.
Oh, yeah,
Unfortunately.
I remember two Chihuahuas ran up on us, and I just said, "Plot," and he sat and he just looked at me, and I was just like fool, he's like, no. And then I stepped in front of him, I shooed the dogs off, and then we just kept on going about our business.
Yeah, that's my
But a dog that's uncontrolled and not in control.
Yeah, no, you gotta let your dog. You gotta let your dog.
Right.
So that's self-defense in that regard. But
Well, at that point, it's a
self-defense thing. If you got a stray dog coming
But
at
you
your
know
dog
what's
and you can't control it or
Yeah.
know what it's gonna do.
It's like other dogs know when your dog is the shit, because I've had big ass dogs run up on us, and my dog flex, and the dog just turn around like I ain't fucking with you.
No,
I've had that
you
happen.
got a big ass dog. You gotta see this damn thing.
Yeah, I was literally had dogs like run up on him like, nah, I'm
His
cool.
name is Battle Cat. It ain't little. You get what I'm saying? It ain't little. His dog's name is it. It ain't little dog.
It's just funny to see that though.
Big ass
Animals
dog.
pick up on it like, nah, he about that. Like a Super Saiyan, basically. Like, nah, his energy
That's
is too
Broly. He
high.
said, hold on, that's Broly.
That's Vegeta. We go ahead and go the other way.
Yeah, I got dogs. They get run up on like beef. He get run up on. He ain't gonna know what to do. He's melting, boy. And
No,
he's
really?
not even he's a little pocket boy. He's like 13 inches tall. You know what I mean? Like,
Everything is giant to him. Yeah.
you know, he get ran up on. And
He's just a sweet boy, man.
It's just
Yeah.
not
And that's
easy.
hard. You don't mean a bully that ain't aggressive is not supposed to be that way. That's the idea, right? We can talk
Right.
about training and then throw in, being pit breeders and bully breeders.
Right.
More bullies are more aggressive than they should be.
Right.
And that's, we can go all the way back
Oh,
again
yeah.
to lack of training.
Like a train.
And then we can throw in, breeding and
Right.
actual conscious breeding for temperament,
Right.
which then would come to people being responsible and training their dogs before they breed them.
Right.
Right, you train mom and dad. Boom, you have some somewhat stable temperament. If you're going to keep a pup, you're going to train that pup, and if you're going to breed it, you're going to breed it to another stable dog. You don't want to breed it to an unstable dog and then take yourself back. Therefore, you're not selling unstable product and making it even harder for uneducated customers to have a well-behaved dog. You know what I'm saying? And then you make it harder for professional trainers to work with the dog,
gotta rehabilitate
to rehabilitate the
Yeah.
dog. Yeah, it makes it harder for us when you got a dog that's genetically wiring is off, technically, so it makes the job even harder when the dog isn't supposed to be this way, but the genetics were not kept in mind for temperament. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a lot of times you got, like I said, like a working breed that has a behavioral issue that isn't necessarily prone to that breed.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, why does that breed display this behavior? Most likely either because of bad breeding or bad raising or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when someone has a rehabilitated, it can be walking uphill when you're trying to fix a behavior that's not natural to a dog. You know what I mean? So, and then going back to even owning pups, a lot of people get dogs and try to force a behavior on it that isn't natural to the dog. And then when it acts like it's supposed to act, they're surprised. They're caught off guard. They want to rehome it. Well, no, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
That's
You
how
tried
it
to
is.
force a Cane Corso to be a Corgi. Well, they're not the same thing. You can't make them be the same thing, And if you're gonna have them both, treat them both accordingly. No one said you can't have them both, but you must acknowledge them for what they each are, and then treat them both accordingly.
Right.
I tell a lot of people, especially when it comes to breeding pit bulls, and pit bull people will agree with this. A lot of commercialists, a lot of pet owners don't like this statement because it sounds restrictive, but it's accurate. So that statement is basically proper handling and proper containment makes a good dog. And I'm going to say it again. Proper handling and proper containment is what makes a good dog. It doesn't mean every dog needs to be on a leash and in the backyard. But if that dog needs to be on a leash and in the backyard, that's what it needs.
And it needs to
That's what it
understand.
needs. That to give it what it needs. Proper containment and proper handling. Some dogs are free roaming because it can. Some dogs can't. So then acknowledge that's what the dog's limit is, and then outside of that, it's going to become a liability. Don't put someone at risk by trying to step outside of a realm that's not going to be proper handling.
Do you think a lot of people fall victim to feeling bad?
As far as what?
Like, oh, I feel bad for this. Like, oh,
That's they humanize
humanizing
it.
the
They humanize
All the
it.
time, I hate it.
They humanize it, and that's why
You
they
gotta
feel bad.
understand,
He's a dog,
dogs
man.
are an animal,
Right.
Yeah, they're animals.
That's why they feel bad. They humanize it. They want to treat it like a baby.
Can't do that.
And
It's not a baby.
no.
Right.
It's a dog.
You can love them as much as you love your kids, but you also have to give it the actual structure that a dog needs.
Gotta be
Right.
structured.
Period. As much as you love him in the house, he still got to poop outside.
Right.
That's how you separate. It's a separation. Separation of him as a being versus him as you want him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I want my dog to go everywhere with me, but I also have to treat him like a dog when I go somewhere.
Right.
He can't sit up on the table with me at the bar and have a drink. He might not be able to get into this bar.
Scooby-Doo.
You know, he can't Scooby-Doo it with me, you know what I'm saying? You can't even dress him up and get him in, you know what I mean? Treat your dog accordingly, and then you'll have a better relationship with it.
Right. I honestly like my dogs to be a little fiery. I like the dogs with attitude that's fiery, but I make it to where it's like an on and off switch. So you're only going to be fiery and display that personality unless I want you to. Other than that, you should be a normal dog and nobody should even know that you have that in you. But if I want you to turn into the Hulk, when I say one word, you ask for to turn up. Somebody come in this house and try to rob me, you better eat his ass alive.
And that's the biggest question and controversy with working dogs. And the biggest question is, again, is if I want to train a dog to be a protection dog, will it still be able to go out and be around my friends and family?
Yeah,
well,
it should be.
Of course, that's the whole goal. Where is it supposed to
Like
do
an
its
on and
job?
off switch.
Where is it supposed to do its job? You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I want to be a cop, but I'm gonna go, hang out at the pool with the lifeguards.
Right.
Well, no. If you want your dog to be a service working dog, its job is to service and work around the family. It should then have the temperament to be that. A lot of people have this concern or the controversy, but again, it's a switch that should be installed. You know what I mean? Before you go get your training, ask your trainer the proper questions. Maybe look at videos, look for other trainers. It's okay to ask for references. I think anybody who's doing something right don't mind reference checks.
Right. It's all in the training, though.
In my opinion, if you're doing something right, you don't mind a reference check because your reputation and your history should all be solid.
But it's all in the
Simple
training.
enough.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you can have
and
a fiery
pick
ass
your
dog.
trainer, though. Pick your trainer.
If you got a fiery ass dog, he just has to be an on and off switch. It's as simple as that. So, it's all in the training. Because some people will have a fiery ass dog, and all they do is put the fire in them, but they never put that off switch.
I've
in
dealt with that.
And you can't take his ass nowhere.
I've had that.
So for me,
that's just a liability.
Get a fiery ass dog and they don't even know what the hell they got.
I'm gonna tell you who commonly use the fiery
Untrained
ass.
versus just trained to go versus untrained and still on go.
Right.
Those
So
are both liabilities.
So the people that I've noticed that commonly use fiery dogs where they really don't have an off switch are law enforcement and the military. They want their shit to be all like that. That's their job. That's what they do. They just fiery. They're not really concerned about having it as a pet. They want them to be on. But for me personally, I like my dogs to be a family dog at home and to be a military special ops whenever I tell them to.
I can tell you why that's the case. I know why you're that way. It's the same reason I'm that way. One is tenacity is intimidating. Number two, the reason why police military are like that is because they got good lawyers. That's also why me and you can't be that way. We live as civilians. We can't. We have to have our dog to conduct themselves a certain way that's gonna have us be liable for it.
Right.
When a police dog attacks somebody, the police aren't worried about it because they have lawyers that answer all those questions for them. You know what I'm saying? You even hit that dog, you go to jail. So they get to move in a certain different revenue than we do. So our dog has to have that off switch because it's a liability if it doesn't. And they're gonna shoot the dog. Maybe
And then you can't take him nowhere.
Or you can't take him nowhere because your dog made the mistake and it,
He's
or
always on.
he was even acting in correction and he bit somebody.
Right.
And when you get there, it's mayhem. So they look at you wrong.
Right.
As a civilian, you just have to move differently. So yeah, a lot of times the reason why police get away with an all-gas dog and all-green dog is because tenacity is intimidating, and they don't have to worry about the liability for when that tenacity is acted out. They don't have a liability for
And that's that dog's job.
And that's his job.
That's his
He
job.
understands that I don't have the liability.
It's
If I
like
get
a
to go,
need,
I meet you at 100. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. That's the job of the dog. It's
Yeah,
like being a military dog.
people that.
That's his job. Is just if somebody is not compliant, send them on there, and then he does his thing. Me, I don't mind to be on and off though. Like I should just be able to chill and have the kids there, we watching TV, and if somebody breaking my house, I say stealing it. He gonna like he's something else. He turned into something. He transforms, and then I mean now as far as the call off, now I put it out into my dog. But I'm gonna keep it real with you. If somebody breaks in my house and you trying to hurt me, I'm not calling him off.
No, yeah.
I'm gonna take my time and let him chew on you for about 5 minutes.
Having one and using one are optional.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Voluntary for sure.
Just because he got it in, don't mean I'm gonna do that.
I will always train one in. When I use it,
Yeah.
it might be 30
You
seconds.
break into my house, I'm gonna let him chew on you for
4 minutes in.
He's gonna chew on you for a little bit.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
do see a lot of law enforcement videos where these dogs are
They have no release.
But it's like what I said though. They train their dogs to be pure fire. There is no. They really don't even have no obedience. All they do is bite.
And
That's
these
it.
are paid training courses that these dogs go through.
Oh, these dogs are at least $5,000 to $7,000 per dog,
Right,
and I
right.
know police trainers personally. I know police trainers, so I know how much time
There
they
you
put
go.
in. These dogs are trained for up to 2 years before they go to work. They work for 3 years and they're retired at around 5 to 7. So that dog is an optimal prime for 3 years. But he was trained for 2, and you don't have an out command for him. something was severely lapsed, or again, I just think that there was no concern for an out command because there is no liability for the dog's
They don't care about no
actions.
obedience. All they want is just personal protection.
There's no
That's it.
liability for the dog's action, so why care about what it does once it's on you?
And that's their job.
I've seen them bite in places that you don't even train for.
Right.
And no one redirects the dog or corrects it.
I'm gonna tell you what's worse than that.
That's super dangerous in a situation if the dog bites someone in the face.
Get your ass,
You know?
Mr. Postman.
I'm gonna tell you
what's
in the
worse than
face,
that.
you know, and the dog didn't get caught off and they can't get it off. And you're like, the dog is now on your face, not like an arm or leg. The dog went for got you in the face. Like,
They're trying to kill you.
yeah, but it's straight,
What are you gonna do to control that?
But I'm gonna tell you what's worse than that. I've seen dogs be with their handlers and fucking turn and bite their own handler. They bite their own dog. They bite their handler.
I saw it. Yeah.
I'm doing that lore course, and then it just
What is
starts
this?
mauling on
I'm like, you supposed to be
I saw
protecting your
that.
handler and you biting your handler? Like, no, I don't want that kind of
So a lot of times if you watch those videos, when they release a dog, most of the police officers have to be behind the dog being released because it doesn't have the dispersion between
Yeah.
bad guy and good guy.
I've
And quite
noticed
often,
the policemen are like behind the dog and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like holding
and they're
on,
behind it,
they're
and
like-
everybody's looking. They got to make sure that
Yeah.
they're behind. And then again, the dog has such a oral obsession that once it's off the bite, they have to immediately give it some sort of tug because it will keep snapping.
It's looking for
Yeah,
something else.
it don't know. It won't. It's not even looking. It's snapping to
Just
the next
get whatever
closest
it
thing.
can.
Yeah, proximity. Which is very dangerous. It's a proximity bite. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's such a high stress dog, you pulled it off and you haven't taught it to chill. It only knows on. So as soon as it's going to get on the very next thing. So quite often they'll use a tug and pull the dog away because they can't walk it past a group of officers without it something in its mouth. It'll snatch up one of those officers, even on the same team.
And
And I've seen that before.
I've
Plenty of
seen the
times.
opposite
There's
where
temperament I've
they
seen.
release the dog on
I've seen
somebody
it
and
in
the dog
person,
didn't
too.
know what to do.
Oh.
Dog was just looking around like, dude, that's not no protection, dog.
Runs
He shouldn't even
away,
be out on
runs
the
away
field.
somewhere.
Right. He didn't do anything. He was supposed to bite the dude and he didn't do nothing. He was just looking around like he was lost.
The guy wasn't stimulating them enough, so he just didn't do anything.
He didn't do shit.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
Decoy
that's
was a
not
movie,
police
so the dog didn't know
He didn't know
my
what to
target
do.
was.
Yeah, I'm like,
any sort of
that's-
agitation.
I done seen some horrible police dogs. I'm like, this is sad.
We have to board a retired canine unit over Christmas break. We already have its separate pen, so we don't even have to go in there and touch it
You're
because
like,
we
we
already
don't
know it's
know.
gonna bite.
Yeah, for sure.
So
You
we
don't know
like
when.
literally lift the open door and we're like, no one's gonna go in there with that dog. We're gonna get mauled.
As far as breeds,
Yeah, he's a monster back there. Don't go in there. He's
I don't think a lot of people should have Belgian Malinois. It's not really a family dog.
No,
It's
that's
not. It's not at
They're
all.
very neurotic.
That's a work. That's
Yeah.
every day.
Dude,
they're
that
very
ain't-
full.
it's
They're
not a
very
family dog.
full of stimulant, especially when they're young.
I mean, there's some rare cases where
They're
some are
fun.
rare properly, but nah, for the
They're
most
very
part,
fun.
don't get no Malinois.
But unless you are a
Unless
trainer
you're a
handler,
trainer,
it shouldn't
you
really
can't-
go off for you.
it's different because you
Both
can't.
of you train any breed?
Yeah.
Huh?
Any breed you'll
Oh yeah,
I
anything,
train everything. Yeah, I've worked with
There's
almost.
certain breeds I just
I
don't
work in
recommend
almost
for
every
families.
breed. I work in almost every breed, but I do a lot of obedience just because that's what most people
Right.
need is obedience.
Right, that's the main thing. My
That's what most people need,
customers
honestly.
mainly just want that. They want a dog that's going to behave.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, because everybody was stuck at home with their dog.
Right.
They wanted their dog to behave. That's the main number one.
Yeah,
that's like your
obedience
bread.
one.
Obedience is your bread and butter.
We specialize in obedience training.
That's the
I
main
do
thing.
personal protection. So I've been
Personal
doing
protection.
obedience for about 10 years,
Okay.
and I've been doing personal protection going on 5-6 years.
Oh.
So collectively, I kind of added in personal protection as a skill level for myself because obedience. Once I created my obedience curriculum, it kind of became redundant for me,
Okay.
right? In a sense, because as a teacher, when you teach the same class to a new set of students, it's the same class. You know what I mean? So for me, protection training was a way for me to not to kind of become complacent as a trainer because it keeps me on your toes, I promise. You get out there one time and make the wrong mistake, you only got one chance to make that wrong mistake. So protection training was a way for me to grow as a trainer, but also an outlet for me to do something with my dogs. Because dogs that have naturally aggressive behaviors, naturally dominant behaviors, when you obviously don't give them a physical outlet, and especially in a positive manner where you're promoting it positively, they're going to then only have a negative expression in your eyes, right? It's just a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people get a dog that doesn't match what they want, and it's a dominant breed, an aggressive breed, and then they want it to be, tempered and calm, but it's not meant for that. So then when it displays that natural behavior, it's only going to be negative, only going to be seen as negative. Now, this isn't the dog's fault. The dog doesn't wake up and go, I want you to hate me today. The dog wants to be a good dog, but he doesn't know what you want from him. Now, if your expectation is contradictory to his genetic makeup, it's going to make it real hard for him to be a good dog.
Yeah.
Followed that by improper handling and an untrained person,
You got
it's
a
going to make it even
crazy
harder for him to
dog.
be a good dog. You're going to have a crazy dog. I understand my dogs need an aggressive outlet sometimes. So I give them one. Technically, it's kind of controversial to train an American Pit to be a personal protection dog. but it's not controversial to train a working breed dog to do work. That's what I'll say right there. That's what it's a working dog, and it'll work on whatever I want it to.
You gotta give him a purpose.
Give him a
That's
purpose,
why
and
they're
that's you give a
bred for.
working dog a purpose, and that's all he's. That's the essence of a working dog.
Yeah,
It's
give him
really
a
not.
job.
It's really not a
Give him a
margin.
job to do.
It's a purpose. He's a working breed, and he'll fulfill any purpose, whether it's chasing deer, whether it's retrieving ducks, whether it's biting bad guys, whether it's helping people in a hospital, whether it's servicing the person at a blind guy, whether it's retrieval. You give it a purpose, it'll be happy. But if you got a working dog and it has no purpose, it only has room for error. And in your eyes, it's all going to be negative. And now the dog is going to be living in a negative state of mind, thinking, I can't do anything right. So now you resent the dog, and the dog resents itself. You know what I'm saying?
It's your fault.
And at the end of the day, it's your fault because don't understand your dog, or don't give it the proper outlets, or didn't pick the right dog for you, or didn't start training early enough. There's a lot of things that come all back to your investment, as the owner handler.
Right.
I feel like a good outlet for a dog. I tell a lot of my clients this, like my dog's just tearing up, and I'm like, dude, you gotta put him on a treadmill.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Treadmill, foot pole. Or foot pole.
Any
One
form
of
of
those two.
exercise.
Honestly, one of those two is what most
Something
people
to
will do.
stimulate the mind.
Most trainers.
You have to. You gotta stimulate the mind and the body.
And the body.
And the dog
And the
is
body, you
chill.
gotta wear him out.
Because if he's just too think about it. You got him in the crate all day,
That's where I'm
or in the kennel all day.
from.
You're just gonna be crazy. Just like having somebody in the jail cell all day. He's gonna be crazy. But if you put him on the treadmill for about a good 30 minutes, when you get back, he's gonna be calm. He's gonna go to sleep. He's gonna be chill. So they need that, man. Because
They need
sometimes
that, right?
it's not even that they're a bad dog. It's just that, dude, you have them wound up. Because they're just pent up all day. And dogs want to get out and run and stretch their legs. And you're not letting them do that. You just keep him pent up in the house all day. He's not a human once again. Keeping him pent up in the house all day. You got him in the crate all day. Now, the only time I would say that keeping your dog in the crate is beneficial is if you are doing personal protection. Because by the time you get him on that field, he's been in that crate so long that he's ready to get it. You know what I mean? He's ready to engage because think about it, he's in a box all day. He's just like, dude, once I get out of here, I'm smashing on somebody. So purposely, sometimes when I would do personal protection, I would keep him in the crate.
That's containment.
Yeah,
That's
I would
proper
keep him
containment.
like that.
That's just proper containment.
I
Knowing what
keep him
that
like
dog will do if it's loose.
Right.
You put them up. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
if he's loose, he's going to be looking for something to work on. So
Right.
I separate him so he understands that when he's out, he's working. When he's up, he's to be chill.
Yeah.
That gives the dog his purpose.
Right.
He understands
They
that
have to have a purpose, man. It's like if you have a high energy dog, you need to give them some kind of outlet.
physical for sure.
For a mastiff or something, or like an English bulldog, something that's a little bit more lazy, not so much. But for a high energy dog, they need the outlet, whether it's personal protection, where you're taking them on a walk, whether you're letting them throw a ball,
Fetch,
whether you put them on a
balls,
treadmill. Yeah, they need to get that energy out. Or are they gonna start tearing shit up? They're gonna start tearing your house up because they're just like wound up all day. So they need like some type of outlet, like I said, whether it's treadmill, chasing the ball, flirt pole, like you said, personal protection, something. You need to give them an outlet. You gotta get that energy out. Once the energy's out of him, he's gonna chill.
I agree. I do want to say too, a big thing that y'all need to do is when you're looking at somebody if you're looking into doing personal protection, find a professional because
There are a lot of amateur
there's
people.
a lot of amateur people, and you or whoever you're working with, your dog can get hurt.
Oh
And
man,
it can turn into a
it's
real liability.
Huge,
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
huge
Not only
risky thing to
that,
do.
somebody can mess up your dog.
Exactly.
And take the fight out of them because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
They don't know how to
Now your
build
dog's
a dog.
scared.
Doing a perfectly
They
good
broke a
dog.
dog. Yeah, they broke
They broke you,
Yeah, they
exactly.
broke him. A lot of times they broke a dog, and that's a psyche thing.
And there's two different types of bite work. There's defensive training and there's prey drive. There's two different ones.
Two different
There's
spectrums.
two different ones. Now, defensive drive is like when you tie the dog off and you're like chastising his ass, and then he's defending himself because he's just trying to like, man, I got him. It's like fight or flight. And then the prey drive is when you take like a flirt pole and you have him chasing shit, and you make it like a game for him, make it fun for him. But I think to me the best personal protection dog is when it's a balance of both defense and prey. I think it has to be
Defense
50-50.
and offense equals civil.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
has to be
civil
50-50.
protection. It's 50-50. You can't be so passive. You'll let somebody punch in the face and not react, and you can't be so aggressive that you're punching people that are
Right.
provoking you.
Right.
You've got to be civil to where you're willing to meet confrontation. And also defend yourself. That's where civil happens, is where you're willing to meet confrontation and defend yourself. That's when civil is a thing.
Because I've seen it where you put too much defense in a dog, and it's like he's one of those dogs.
Then he
you talked
doesn't have,
about.
he doesn't have
He
an
just want to
offensive
bite
side.
anybody because he don't trust you because he's used to defense. And then I've seen a person that put just only prey, and it's not real to him. It's like a game. So you don't have a serious dog then. But when you do
He
both,
doesn't understand the context.
Right, it's just like
I'm
he's
supposed to
not
go fight him,
serious
but I
to
don't
him.
know I'm supposed to defend you.
Right.
if you get a real deep
Separation
one,
is mine.
I'm playing.
I'll go do the outward work, but when he's next to you jumping on you,
Or if you get a decoy that, if you got a decoy that's intimidating him, he's gonna run off because it wasn't real to him. Now it's like you put pressure on me, I don't know what to do. Okay. So I think you have to have 50% defense and 50% prey. It has to be both. You can't do one without the other.
And that's personal protection. I mean, there's so many different types of like PSA, Protection Sports Association, so many different types of PSA, but for personal protections, as far as the civilian goes, you want to aim for a balanced dog, right? A dog that can go from training to PetSmart to the house to the barbecue, and saying it doesn't skip a beat as long as nothing mishappened, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of dog you want. But a lot of times, again, you got to pick your trainer, even from obedience standpoint, pick your trainer, right? Do your research, pick your trainer. But at the same time, I think what most people should watch out for, then if you say pick your trainer, this is a warning I'll give most people, because I've trained a lot of people who come from commercial trainers. Mm-hmm. Let's just put it like that. We don't need to say what companies, just other commercial companies. And a lot of times they'll tell me is that my dog doesn't get enough attention here during this, or they'll tell me when I'm gone, I don't know what to do with my dog here. Or they'll tell me they can only do so much with this time frame, and if my dog doesn't get the attention it needs, I'm SOL. I'm just basically shit out of luck. Well, how is that effective? Period. How there's no way, shape, or form any one of those sounded like it would be something anybody would want to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you go to look for a trainer, try to find a trainer who teaches comprehensively to where you're not crutched and you don't know what to do when they're not there. That's not training. That's not training. That's hindered. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's being held back. You should, when you have a trainer, while you're working with them, you should get the experience that you're learning enough to do this by yourself, right? And that you've got permanent knowledge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To be a better person after this is gone, so you know how to upkeep the dog. If you feel like you aren't getting that, you need to go ahead and find somebody else and stop wasting your time and money. Because a lot of commercial trainers will crutch you.
Exactly.
Just to keep your money, and oftentimes get you to come back and keep paying for a crutch system.
In my opinion, the best way to know if you got a good trainer, if you really want to screen a trainer, ask to see his personal dog.
Yeah.
And watch how his personal dog interacts with him. If him and his dog are in sync and it's on point, and he's the one that actually trained it, that's a good trainer. But if you got a dog that say he's a trainer and he pulls his dog out, his dog is just wild and running all over the place, I'm like, man,
Or if you don't have
it happens. I've seen it. I've seen it, bro. It's like, how you gonna tell me you're a good trainer and you don't have nothing to back it up?
Yeah.
You don't have any.
You can't show me at least 1 or 2 or 3 dogs that you train personally that's on point. That's what lets me know, like, oh, dude, you pull your dog out, he won't run off.
Go shadow one of their sessions. A lot of times, most people who are in the business, entrepreneurship, really want to secure a customer, so they wouldn't be against you doing a reference check or even coming to shadow one of their sessions. They should be like, oh yeah, come out and check me out. They should be fine with that. They want you to spend your money, so they should want to lock you in. So they shouldn't be like, oh, I only do private sessions, no one can see. Well, I train in public, so I have people from neighbors to police to just random people watch me train all the time. And that's honestly how I get most of my customer base is because I train in public. There's an effectiveness to it, but it's also my niche is I'm not scared to put my training on display. I've been doing it the entire time. I've always trained in public.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My reference is point. You can come check me out anytime you want to. Right. It's not I'm not against it. I even answer questions all week long, and then I'm working on the weekends. So.
Yep.
What are some common essentials you need for your training?
For training, corrective collar. A regular collar, which is like a regular flat collar. Those are just for comfort, dog tags, regular nylon or buckle collar. A corrective collar, and there's several, but the big main ones I would say are going to be your choke chain, your pinch collar, and your e-collar are going to be your main 3 corrective collars. Then you've got a bunch of head leads, like martingale types, right?
Okay, so you don't show up in a harness, you don't show up with one of those drawstring leashes.
Oh hell no, no shoelace string, no retractable. Yeah, you don't want to get, retractable leashes are the dog's worst friend. And it's often also your dog's worst friend if he's in an aggressive situation, because now you can't get your buddy back. Now somebody snatched your little dog off and ran away with him. You got a couple of feet, somebody didn't run away with Fifi. You can't even bring him back. Fifi don't got a good recall. You know what I'm saying? You gotta chase your dog down now. Now you fishing for his ass, you know what I'm saying? That's a fishing line.
Oh, man.
So no, retractable leashes, I hate those. Harnesses, I tell harnesses, huge no, only because most people's concept of harnesses is backwards. Most people think my dog can't walk well by the neck, so let me put a harness because it'll help me.
Or pulling.
It'll help me. Pulling, a dog pulls by the neck, so they think, let me put a harness on it because it'll help me. Wrong. The harness helps the dog.
You just gave him more leverage.
Gave him leverage.
was made for.
You put a vest on
For
him
the
to
dog
help
bully.
him leverage out pulling you. So now
How
you
do fly dogs run? With what?
a harness.
harness.
They don't run by the neck. You know what I'm saying? They don't. They run by a
I
body
feel
harness.
like people feel bad because they're pulling on them.
They feel bad at the sound.
And then
They're
they're
thinking,
like,
oh, it's choking
what
and
about
turning
you, a
him.
harness?
Well, they don't know how to
No.
use it either.
And then they don't know how to use it.
know how to put it on. They put it on, and it's the wrong way. I've been guilty of this myself.
Oh,
You know,
choke
we all
chains,
have.
corrective
We all
collars.
We all are.
Dude, I've seen people put prong collars on one. I've seen
Oh,
people
yeah.
use e-collar on. So sometimes it's the tools that work. It's just you don't know how to use
Right.
it.
So that's why I tell
it
people
is.
it's a tool supposed to be used by tradesmen of that sport, whatever it is. You know what I mean? By by tradesmen of that actual trade.
Right.
If you don't know how to operate a forklift, don't get on a forklift. You can take out a wall or build a house.
Right.
Same thing. If you don't know how to work a bandsaw, don't jump on a bandsaw.
If you're not an electrician,
Don't be messing with electricity. You know what I'm saying? If you're not a scuba diver, don't be swimming. You know? Don't go swimming. That's why I don't go swimming. But that's my point. Is these are
Black
tools of the
people really
trade.
don't know
These are tools of the trade.
you know, I know I ain't gonna say anything. Come on.
Hell no, I got a dress. I got a dress.
I gotta
It's already take a long time to wash out. I ain't doing it. Let me take my essential oil and chlorine don't mix.
I gotta take my cornrows out.
Do you think a lot of people get confused, or like, do you think they're more or less scared to make a mistake when it comes to training, or comes to getting the tools that they need, so they kind of just get whatever they can find and be like, oh, this is what I have, and then they're stuck with having to deal with kind of what they created?
I said this to you guys earlier in the car, right? So I'll say it like this. It's either arrogance or ignorance ruins anything, and especially dogs. I say this all the time, and to every person I talk to, it's arrogance and ignorance ruins everything. A lot of people are so arrogant, they think they got it. And then before it's too late, they don't got it.
It's a mess.
It's a mess now. And some people don't know enough, and still proceed anyway, you know? And still proceed anyway. I don't know it, I don't know shit, so I'm just gonna keep going. Well, that's not helpful when you've got a living creature that's learning by the day, by the second, by every move you make. Now, you can't take back those steps. You know what I'm saying? You gotta find somewhere in the medium and then realize where your limits are, and then reach for help when that's where you met your limits.
Right.
Point blank, period. I do the same thing even as a professional. I got people I go talk to when I come to a wall. I don't sit here and proceed blindly and think that I'm doing well, but I'm fucking up. You know what I'm saying? It comes a point between arrogance and ignorance. Ruins anything. And that's anything. A lot of people you gotta be self-aware. And be okay with asking for help. You know what I'm saying? Don't be so arrogant you don't ask for help, and don't be so, what's the word? I mean,
Prideful.
yeah, I mean, prideful isn't the word. I mean, embarrassed. And more so when it says, a lot of people don't ask for help because they're embarrassed. They don't know, they don't want to say, I don't know how to do this. They don't want to say, I'm fucking up. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, my dog's a piece of shit, I need help. Most people don't want to say that.
That's you being a good owner. That's you taking accountability.
I respect people who do that. I'm
I
like,
made a
cool,
mistake.
come to me before it gets worse.
Right.
Do it now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Most people will bump into me and go, oh damn, I've been looking for you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to post online, but I'm glad I bumped into you.
Yeah.
I'm cool either way, you know what I'm saying? I still work, but you don't have to wait to bump into me because of embarrassment about the situation you're in. You know what I mean? My dog is embarrassing me, so I don't even want to put myself out there.
Shit don't happen
That's a lot of
fast
times.
before you ask for help.
A good trainer should
Yeah,
provide you with all the
that's
tools
right.
you need, though, from the beginning. A good trainer is just going to provide you with all the tools you need.
And he should. That's what you should know. You should feel
Right.
like he is. Every step of the way, you should feel like he's teaching you what you need to upkeep your dog. Teaching you permanent information, so you're like, oh, an aha moments are happening. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, I never knew that before.
I like dog mentors. I'll often go train under somebody who's been in the game 40 to 50 years. That just makes me a better trainer. Like, I'm willing to take the back seat and learn from
Get a
him.
mentor, man.
Yeah, everybody
dog
should have
mentors are
a
dope.
mentor.
Everybody been in the
has
game
one
like
they
40,
go
50
to.
years. And that's how I learned a lot of my stuff, just by them putting me under their wing and showing me
Find your
some stuff.
OGs, man.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
Don't never stop learning either.
40 to
Never stop
50
asking
yeah.
questions, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm never gonna have all the answers. I'm always learning. As far as the dog, it's like I'm always learning, and I'm always seeking to learn and learn.
That's the beauty of dog training. Is
Yeah.
you will
It
constantly learn
evolves.
something.
Training,
You
it
can't
evolves.
stay in one place and train the new dog. You know what I'm saying? That new dog come with a new set of issues. He come with a new type of needs. You gotta adjust per dog, and that also makes you grow individually as a trainer. So
And there's various
that's
ways
the
to train
beauty
it.
of it. That's really
There's
the
so
beauty
many
of it.
different ways you can do it. It's not just one way. There's various ways. You just gotta use which way works for you in your system.
And pick your trainer, because again, there's so many ways. I tell some people, I try to give people as much information as I can about how I do things, and a lot of times choke collars and don't appeal to some of my pet owners. Like, oh, that sounds mean or whatever. Well, that's what I use. If the way that I use it, it's not cruel, it's effective, and the way you should use it, use minimum correction the way that I train for it.
Right.
Now, if that doesn't sound appealing to you, I understand, but that's what I do. I'm not going to do your way. Your way got you to calling me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
This is what I do.
What we
So,
got?
you know, if you want to come be in my program, this is what I do with my program. Now, lo and behold, I'm not going to tell you can't go call somebody else. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to.
All right.
I should find something that works for you. That's okay with me.
So I've been showing for a little bit, and there's some dogs that, you know, sometimes I can't get to where I need them to be in showing. So I go to ask other people. See, I went to Dawn about one of my dogs, about Heathen, because, you know, he's very timid. He's a very timid dog.
He's docile.
And
You
I
have
haven't
trust
had,
issues then.
and I
Don't
haven't
trust
had
him.
a dog that.
Was he originally with you though?
Yeah.
Oh, now what made him that way though?
I don't know.
He's just like calm / like
He's
confident.
just-
He's not very like.
Has he been socialized very much?
Yeah.
Or is he more sheltered?
I wonder what makes him
He falls back.
He's
You know
just-
what I'm
he's
saying?
just
Like, he
chill.
really falls back.
And
you
I've
can
never
tell.
had a dog like that, so it's kind of hard for me to
It's
train
weird.
a dog that I
It's
don't
weird.
know how to do. So
He's
I'm like,
like,
hey, dog.
You're trying to train him to be cocky, confident, enthusiastic when he's more of like, I'll take a back seat. I don't want attention.
It's
I'll just-
Eeyore, man. From Winnie
Yeah,
the
for
Pooh,
sure.
bro.
Yeah.
So even I know how to, well, not train every dog, but like train most of my personal dogs how to show. And I've never encountered this, and I'm like, Dawn, how do I do this?
I think what you're trying to get at is I don't know, sorry, but
No.
it's building confidence in the dog.
Mm.
Like,
You gotta
Yeah.
socialize him a lot.
Yeah.
and you
That's
think-
gonna build his confidence up. They're socializing him.
And also, I think different people will build their dog's confidence because I see in at shows, you know, these people show up and they'll handle 3 of their other dogs phenomenally, but they have that one dog that they have to hire a handler for
Somebody
because
else for.
that dog just feeds better off of another person.
I do that. So yeah, I do that vice versa. I'm good at handling, but I also got a dog that handles better with somebody else, and I pass my dog off. I pass my dog on. My dog will actually shine better just under a different handler.
And you're an excellent trainer. Just
Yeah,
for you to
man.
say that.
No, yeah, and I have no problem saying, like I said, well, I ain't arrogant or ignorant, and I ain't gonna allow that to stop my dog from excelling. My dog, I want him to show. So if he
Right.
shows better with somebody else, that's for me to go, this is where my limits are. And I'm okay with letting somebody else shine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just not against that, especially when I give credit to credit due. So I know I'm good at this, and also I know I'm not good at this. I'm good at this to an extent, and when I reach that extent,
Ego.
I'll go ahead and
You got
ask
it.
for
I
help.
see that a lot. I see that a lot in the dog
Asking
training
for
world.
help, I think, is
Yeah.
a big thing. It's
Alright.
like,
I trade other people, and I still give
yeah.
my dog away to people. You know?
There you
You
go.
do? Yeah, sure.
I see that a lot. I see that a lot in the dog training world where dog trainers bash other dogs. I see it all the time.
All the time. You're supposed to be
All the time, dude.
You can see it. You're supposed to video.
All the time, bro.
Lord,
Training
damn.
you're doing in general, I've seen it in physical training, I've seen it in you know, in animals, I've seen it in any type of training. Everybody's gonna have their opinion on it.
But I see it all the time. They talk about it's funny. 'Cause I'm like, man, these people be talking about each other. It's funny. And the dog world is small too, so it's gonna get back to that person.
Right.
A really small community.
What would you say would be the best way to kind of knock out the small talk? Like, because people are always gonna talk, they're gonna always have what they have to say about these people. You know what I mean? My biggest opinion would be
Just don't respond to it.
Don't
Don't even
respond.
engage
Go-
into it.
go see
Don't
for
engage
yourself.
into it. Like you're there for your purpose, but don't engage in that drama.
right,
You know what I mean? You want to stay neutral.
right. That's not what you. That's really not what it's.
That's not what you're there for.
That's not what it's about. It's about the dogs at the end of the day.
It's not what you're there. Yeah. So you just don't engage. You listen and just keep it at that.
That's a big thing we want y'all to see, y'all. Utah. Listen to that. It's not about the drama. You hear me?
It's not about the
Bully,
drama.
trust me,
It's
it's
not
a lot.
about the drama.
Especially in the bully community. Oh my God. The bully community is crazy. The bully community is crazy, man.
It's ridiculous. I'm saying that it's
It's
ridiculous.
Oh, I seen the video the other day that was wild. About
crazy.
We come
cologne
from a
and
different cloth. I'll say that much.
It's bad.
bully community is crazy. I done seen
It's
people.
interesting.
I done seen people fight at the bully shows, get shot at the.
Yeah,
bully
I've seen some
community
stuff
is
that ain't
crazy.
got no madness.
Bro.
Yeah, dude, it's
But
crazy.
it makes us look bad, you know?
It really
That's
does.
what it is at the end of the day.
It makes the dogs look bad, really,
It
though,
does.
honestly. People don't even look, they don't remember the faces. They remember
Dude, did you
the
see the thing
dog,
that happened in
dog
Florida,
that
that big
paid
old
for it.
fight?
They think,
Yeah.
That was
Really
crazy.
tasty show.
And that's too bad. It's too bad because
It makes me not even want to go to the shows.
That's
Well,
the
see,
point, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's disappointing because it's not even necessarily the actual show. It's these people that are in the back having a fun show.
Messing
that
it up
should- that should
everybody
be
else.
Thankful
Right.
that they're even able to
Have
do
a
this
revenue to do
to
it, yeah.
display what they have to put what they have on for
Right.
display. You know what I
Right.
mean? So none of that should even be happening. Not on top of that, we got kids. We got You know, just a bunch of stuff.
And it boils back down onto your arrogant thing, what you were saying.
Ego.
Yeah.
And ego.
Making
right?
the bully community look real bad.
Right. Let go of your ego, people. That's not what it's about. It's about the dog and what we can do to better that breed. And we're a community. At the end of the day, we're a community.
Let's touch on that. I mean, I know we're talking about dog training, but I want to touch on like breeding in general. I think people should breed for me specifically. What I breed for is health, structure over color all day, and longevity of the dog. My dogs the dogs that I breed usually live from like 12 to 14 to 16 years old.
What breeds do you breed?
Temperament.
Bullies.
Bullies?
And mastiffs. And it's sad though because I've seen so many people, whether they got micros, pockets, or XLs, the dogs died at like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Something is wrong there. Your dog is not living. You got these top ranked studs that's going for $20K a stud for you, and they die at 4 or 5 years
Speeding
old.
up some process and doing
That
a lot
ain't-
of
that's not
inbreeding.
good.
They're speeding up the process and doing some inbreeding.
That ain't good, though, dude.
Skipping
Like,
maturity on
you know what I mean?
inbreeding to be able to try to multiply in-house faster.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
a thing. It's a
Yeah.
thing, right? For sure. Like if you are either, short on funds or short on outside dogs, what you'll end up doing is inbreeding at a young age. You know what I'm saying?
You should breed. You
And
should breed
then
for the
you end
betterment
up
of the dog.
speedballing
Better the breed.
your
You know what I mean?
product. You speedball your product, and
Right.
then it's not healthy. You get
Right.
what I'm saying? Because you obviously didn't allow maturation to happen.
Right.
You're cutting corners on genetics by breeding dogs too close together. You know what I'm saying? And then
And
you
for
come
me
out with
personally, I want an
defects and
athletic dog.
faults.
I want a dog that's athletic. You know what I mean? I want my dog to be able to jump on tables or jump a 6. I want to be able to do all that. Some of these dogs, they can't even breathe. You take them around the corner, they can't breathe no more.
I wouldn't
Taking
even
outside
jump a
now.
6-foot fence.
Huh?
Oh,
Y'all imagine beef jumping a 6-foot?
Some of these dogs can't breathe though, man. They got
That's
breathing
true.
issues. Take them outside, they
That's-
overeat. I don't want a dog like that.
And that's based confirmation.
That's me though, personally though.
Yeah.
Huh? Not everybody's like that.
confirmation. If your dog can't breathe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's your all stuff.
You're not even. You're not helping that dog out.
You paying 5 to 10K for a dog that can't breathe and got health issues. That's
Or
not
can't
cool.
walk.
Or can't walk.
You gotta put that dog in
Sad.
a cart.
I got all these skin
You
issues
gotta
and
wheel that
stuff.
dog around.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, even underbites can be a functioning underbite to where the dog can still move. You know what I'm saying?
And that can be bred out.
You have a
And
dog
that can be
has
bred
a
out.
right, it
Yeah,
should hang
I
on
got a
shit,
dog
you
that'll
know what I
run
mean?
next to me, and I got a dog that'll outrun most of my pit bulls. You know what I'm saying?
I love an
And that
athletic dog.
Get done. It's still
I should be
looking
able to
for
take my
more,
dog on a 5
and it's
mile
got an
hike.
underbite.
Cool.
You gotta. I've seen functional and I've seen dysfunctional. Real, you know what I mean? Even with compact and dwarfism, it can both happen. And
they
even,
have
you can
teary
even have
eye.
an XL dog that's dysfunctional. I mean, it ain't always dwarfism that causes dysfunction.
Yeah.
Right.
We can say right here and now the XL community is full of dysfunction just as much as the exotic community is. Point
Absolutely.
blank, period.
Wow.
So,
They're in the same
Yeah.
boat.
just as they have the same amount of
It really
fucking
is.
problems.
But I know
It's
this
the
is-
same problems. Same
I know
fucking
it's health.
problems.
Yeah.
Inconsistency.
Same problems. High rears, bad elbows, straight stifles. What you mean?
I know
About
this-
mismatched eyes. I mean,
Right.
talk
Yeah.
about
It's
dogs.
I noticed the health
General.
declines in a dog if you breed too small or if you breed too big. Causes health
Outside of
issues.
functionality, just as in humans,
Causes
right?
health
Just as in
issues,
humans,
man.
right? If you get too
Exactly.
big or too small, it's gonna
Causes health issues.
affect
I
functionality.
don't want that in my life.
And you breed American Bullies, right?
Yeah.
XL.
Yeah.
You breed pit.
And
American
I breed
Frenchies,
Frenchies too.
and
I do
Bullies.
Frenchies
yeah.
too.
American Bullies.
I breed it all, bro.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got a fluffer. You got
I got
Is that a
it.
fluffer breed?
You know what I'm saying? So would you guys say that with bullies, that we're looking at pit bulls and we're looking at bullies in the XL?
Okay, I'm gonna answer that for you.
Finish. Hold on. Wait.
Okay.
What do you say?
I know what you're gonna say.
Because
I'm gonna answer your question.
we have a lot of
Terrier type.
we have a lot of terrier type, and then we have a lot of what we're looking at is the standard of American bullies.
So I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
I got a lot to say on that.
For the-
Yeah,
for the-
yeah,
for the-
no.
For the micros and the pockets, that's a heavy English bulldog, French bulldog influence that's mixed into that dog. Now for the XLs,
That's no secret. No secret.
but people are lying about it though.
Yeah.
And then for the XLs, for the bigger dogs, that's massive influence all day long.
All day, a couple
And for some of these
It ain't no
dogs,
secret,
for
bro.
some of these dogs, dude, your papers is not real. I mean, because
That's what
there's
they're
no pit bull that's going.
for.
First of all, it's not even a pit bull because pit bulls don't get 200 pounds or 180 or 140. That's a lie.
Right.
Facts.
And you know, and, dude, you can look, you can see some of these pockets in these micros. You can see the English bulldog features, and you can see the French dog features in the dog. Some of
Right.
these dogs are being born with no tails.
Right.
Dude, that's English bulldog, French bulldog all day. And so, and people were trying to say these paperwork don't mean shit. Paperwork don't mean nothing.
It really doesn't.
It don't. I know people. I
So
know
new
people
breed
that-
paperwork is just
Yeah.
hearsay. For
I know
new breed.
breeders personally in California that told me straight up, this is what I did. I mean, I ain't gonna put them out there like that. But I've been on their yard and I've seen what they use to mix this.
Same, if you talk to anybody who's breeding bullies over 15 to 20 years, they'll tell you they mix their bullies. They'll tell you they came from it's not even a secret. It's a part of the establishing a separate breed is you have to mix breeds to make a new one. You can't.
But disclose it though is my thing, and that's cool that you do it.
Why is it such a secret?
Just disclose it though.
Look at the Whopper line. Back in the day, weight pulling dogs, right?
They knew that was
I have a bitch that's off a Whopper. Okay,
Straight
I know that's freaking American Bulldog Mastiff mix.
Yeah.
You know?
But just say that though. Some people will argue, no, it's a pit bull. No, this is just pure pit bull. But it's not.
No.
Just keep it 100. Why you gotta lie?
Yeah.
I think more customers will want to mess with you if you have integrity and tell the truth than if you're lying to them.
Well, there's got to be a way how this came about, right?
The fluffy gene came back in the Frenchies.
I think that's Pomeranian. I think they mixing Pomeranians and what's that other dog? Pekingese.
Yeah.
I think they putting that in there.
I don't even know.
I just bred
And then-
some fluffy,
Probably
so
Pekingese,
I'll have some fluffy so for
Oh yeah, I'm with it though. It's
It is
red though,
Pekingese.
but it's just you gotta know how it was made though.
Not only that, just like with everything else, with the exotics, with the XLs,
Trends,
with
man.
it has to have a standard, right? Like,
There is no standard in the bully community.
No, and
There's
there's
not.
There isn't.
Look,
No,
There
there's
really
not.
is, but there's no
We have a
adherence.
race.
There is one, there's just not enough
Nobody
adherence.
follows it.
Nobody
There's not enough
knows.
adherence to
Everyone
the
follows
standpoint
their
like here.
vision.
Well,
Yeah.
not everybody's on the same page
Right.
to be like, okay, this is what it should, because everybody's got, when
A
they come into this,
vision.
Everyone
everybody
has a
exactly
vision.
boom.
Their
Their
own.
own independent vision.
And then not only that, they think because a dog does a different thing, I want my dog to be able to go get ducks and chase down cows and stuff like that. They think it should look different. No, this dog should look just like this right here, and it should be able to do exactly what you want to do. If you want to go retrieve ducks, hell, you teach it to go retrieve ducks.
Yeah, don't change his look to
But
fit
don't
that.
change
Go
his
get a
look to
different
fit that.
breed
Go
that's
get a
going to
different
fit that
breed.
look.
You
Yeah.
can't get a pocket or a micro and think it's gonna do that.
Right.
It's too small, man. It ain't built for that.
Built for that. If
You
you
know.
You know?
So
they got big labs too.
And it's not, we're not saying that our dogs can't do that they're not smart enough. That they're
No,
not
but the controversy is the question is where does the controversy begin? And
Right.
even between the American Pit Bull and the American Pit Bull and the American Bully, the controversy begins at integrity versus breed. Period.
They lie.
People who want shortcuts and
lying.
want to make money versus people who understand what they got and that there takes longevity to really fucking establish yourself.
what that is.
Period. Establish what that is. Establish shelf longevity is foremost in everything, especially when it comes to breeding dogs. You can't breed one
Okay.
generation and think you got it.
Don, let me
You
ask
just
you
can't.
something. You being a pit bull breeder, you breed you register your dogs with the UKC, correct?
Correct.
What do you think about the bully community still registering dogs as American Pit Bull Terrier with the UKC?
That's where greed falls in. Now the reason people do that is because of a selling tactic. And I've seen people say this. I've literally seen the top
Purple ribbon.
the purple ribbon. No, I've literally seen one of the top bully breeders in the world say the reason I still label my dogs as XL pit bullies is because publicly, people don't know what bullies are.
Yep.
So when I say it's a pit bull, it draws their attention, and then when they see that it's bigger and it actually makes them stay. It keeps their attention.
It's 'cause it's
right?
such a new
So
breed.
It's a marketing
because it's a
tactic.
new breed,
It's a
people don't
marketing
want to
tactic.
use an unknown name. They want to use a known name to piggyback off of.
Right.
Which is again now your base problem with American Pit Bulls, because you've got these people who don't know it's a bully, or the people who do know it's a bully still mixing it back to pit bulls, which ruins both breeds, not just the pit bulls, but also ruins the bullies. It
And you
ruins
got
the
trend buyers
breed.
too. You got the trend
That's the
buyers.
breed.
They
Again,
only
it's
want to
the
buy a
breed.
dog that's bossy or
Or
something that's
Merle.
because of the name. Me, I don't look at the name. It's all about the dog. I
People are
mean,
kennel blind now.
yeah, it's all about the
Well,
dog.
they're not even looking at that point. They're not looking at structure, like you said. They're not looking at anything
don't-
but the dog. They're
Yeah.
just- or where it comes from.
To me, structure
They
is
just bought the
important.
damn dog because it came from this damn kennel. That's
Well, and,
it.
you know,
Structure's
and
important
most-
to me,
most
man. Like your
people
dog
even
gotta
with
just be like
bullies
that when you come
will
pull him out.
still sell them as let's say you were a commercial breeder and you're on social media and you go, I got pit bulls for sale, but they're really bullies. So once you've got someone's attention under the name of pit bull and you've got a customer asking you questions, that is when you have the opportunity to start the education for that new breed.
I'm guilty of
But
this.
when you
I'm
don't
guilty.
do it,
Guilty.
you're only perpetuating that same problem. I can't educate somebody. I can educate. I've actually lost customers because I've educated people on what a bully is. Quite often, people will hit me up and go, "Oh man, I want a pit bull and I want this and this." And I'm like, "Well, what you want is a bully." No, I want a pit bull. And I'm like, no.
There is a
They send you
difference.
these pictures.
I'm like, so what? Based off what you're wanting, you
Right.
want a bully. I know what a
Right.
bully is, and I have no problem directing you to the right revenue versus me selling you something under a false name. That doesn't help me out when my job is to keep pit bulls, and your job is to keep bullies.
There you go.
And I'm over here just trying to make a sale, so I don't correct people along the way. No, I correct people even if it loses me customers. That's where integrity versus greed happens.
Exactly.
I shut down stud fees because the dog's not a pit bull. The dog's got a mixed pedigree. I've shut down all kinds of shit.
I literally see you say it all the time. I know
All
the
the time.
difference.
I
know
all the
difference,
time.
you know?
And there's different
versions of the bully.
I'm okay with my
Pocket,
losses
you got
when
that.
I understand what I'm also trying to build in the long run. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I really don't mind.
And there's also different versions of the bullet. You got the pocket, you got the micro, you got the XL, you got the XXL. So there's different versions of it too.
I think that right there is what I think a big, like, or a huge problem that we have right now is a double XL. We
To
need
me, XL and double XL is the same shit.
It's the same
Ah.
thing. There should be no such thing as an XXL.
There shouldn't.
But when you're in
There
it,
should
I want
be.
to point something out though because I've been in an ABKC ring,
Right.
and you see an XL, which you're like, okay, that's an XL, and you see a double XL, and these dogs can't even compare. But you have these dogs here. What are we looking at? Because at some point it turns into structure, but then we're looking at, okay, this dog is so massive.
So,
Does
so
the
you know what
ABKC
else too? I'm talking about height versus weight. That's where the problem happens with the XLs. Height versus weight. You can have a 21-inch dog that's 90 pounds. You can have a 22-inch dog that's 130, 40 pounds. Those dogs are going to be completely different looks, but they're the same breed.
I believe
So
the
the problem is
ABKC does have a cutoff range. I think it's
For
20,
weight?
No, for
For height.
heights at the top.
But
No,
then,
they
so then,
should
they don't have a cutoff. But this is that what they should do though. They should have a cutoff for weight for the XLs. So therefore, and they should have a maximum. It shouldn't be 21 inches. It should be 22. That I've also often said this. That 1 inch gray area is that 1 inch margin is a gray area for
Let's show you so
controversy.
that way we're safe.
But there, but
No, it's 21.
Sorry.
No,
But
American
unbeknownst-
Bully is 21 to
I'm pretty
23.
sure it's
Yeah,
okay,
higher.
It's 21 to 23. Most breeds are going to have a 3 inch range for your heights.
But
So it's
unbeknownst
21 to
It's pretty
23.
big.
3 inches is a lot.
is a lot.
But you've got some
Yeah,
bullies that
it
come out,
is.
some are 25 inches and 150 pounds. You get what I'm saying? So that's where adherence to the standard comes in. If you want an XXL, even if you want it 150 pounds, you need to shrink it.
It needs to look like
It needs to shrink it down to 23 then. If you've got, your XL bully and it's 21 inches, then it's 90 pounds. But there should be a weight minimum. Just as much as there is a height minimum, there should be a weight minimum. There should be, that'll force people to bring in a bulkier version of the dog.
sorry, podcast.
It's strong.
Mic drop on that.
I don't know my
Let me look it
strengths
up
and
right
stuff.
now.
But unbeknownst to a lot of people though, there's a lot of politics in the ring. Because if you know the judges, you're gonna win regardless of which one.
That's real politics for
A
sure.
lot of people don't know that though. If you got the judges in your pockets, it don't matter what your dog looks like. They're gonna bend the rules just for you to win because it's politics. Now you slide them a couple of 100,000 here, your dog will win. Just
Well, even consistency. I've seen consistency win shows, and that's that's really no fault because that's people putting in the work.
You mean report? Like,
But I've seen it where somebody's dog is.
career show people win because that's what they do. They're known.
But I've seen dogs that blow dogs out the water, and they should have won, but because of the politics in the shows, the other person won.
Nobody even knows this person, but they got a badass dog, but nobody's.
They got the bag, they pay off the judges, and then they win. That's a lot of people don't know that though. Like I've heard about that happening from people that are like in the
And
game.
we want to say
Yeah.
people
I've seen
saying
it
paying
in
off
person.
isn't
I've
just
seen it in
handing
person.
them money. This is you hosting where they're staying. This is you got a car for them. Oh, this is
It's
you
politics.
You feeding them every night.
Dude,
This
it's
is-
politics.
you
Paying
some
for their-
politics.
their-
There's politics in there, man, on the real.
Right.
There's politics in there. And some of these top name breeders,
But
they
you
only.
get your judges though that are like very understanding.
Oh, very even, very.
But what I'm saying this is everybody.
Some-
This isn't
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
But in certain
You do
shows,
get, but you do get your few and far between.
Yeah.
That's like,
I've heard
hey.
some people getting paid off to win the show. Like on the real, because it's money for
We're
everybody.
not saying that's happening every show. We're not saying that's
I wouldn't
every day.
doubt
I'm not gonna call nobody out, but I got some
It has
insight.
happened.
We're trying to be drama free.
right.
Yeah, no drama.
People is getting paid off to win shows. I'm gonna tell you that.
Yeah, the XL bully is only by height.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
the
is.
big thing. It doesn't have a weight.
No
It doesn't
weight.
have a weight class, which I think would really help separate that controversy. The height should it be 22 to 20,
Males-
22 to 24 inches.
That's for
Males
XL,
is
right?
20
No, yeah,
to
for XL.
23.
Only because
Males are 20.
Yeah, it's males are 20 to 23.
well, because that's where standards and XL start to. That's what you have. You have a,
I thought standards starting at
well,
17.
no, standards is
17.
standards is 19 to 21 for
Okay,
males.
okay.
It's a 3-inch margin for most breeds.
Oh,
most breeds
okay.
will have a 3-inch gap so they can be minimum max height.
Right.
Most breeds will, just in
Right.
general. But male's standard is 19 to 21. XL's is 21 to 23. 3. That 21 is where standards and XLs are having a hard time separating. They should make it 22. Bring me a guaranteed taller dog. I'm not arguing with you. I don't want to argue because it's guaranteed 21. I don't want nobody arguing, well, he's 21 inches, he's 22, he's 20 inches, but he's 110 pounds, so he's an XL. Or he's 21 inches, but he's only 85 pounds. That's a lot of room for argument right there. There's a lot of controversy that happens just because of 1 inch. You take away that 1 inch and you can make people bring it based off of bulkiness. That's the point, right? Keep the height, bring the mass.
Make yourself
Keep the height,
wicked,
bring the
man.
mass.
Make
Point
sure you're in the right class when you're going in.
Yeah, and that's the height thing. And bring the mass, right? And then bring the mass.
A judge, ask.
If the dog too tall, I'm sorry.
Before the show.
Bring him back smaller. I love his size. Bring his ass back a little shorter. I'm sorry.
They ain't really strict like that in the
No, of course
They
not.
just kind of let it ride. I noticed that. There's really no
I
structure.
personally haven't seen a judge whip out a wicket. You know?
To measure height on the two dogs being
No, that's what I'm saying. They don't do that.
Shouldn't too tall be a disqualification?
It's real lenient.
That's how I feel it would be, right?
It's just 23 is the top.
Yeah, if he's
Shouldn't
over
25
he should
be
be
like,
out.
yeah, we.
Right.
Because I've seen dogs.
I love
that
your
are
size,
over.
but you're too
I've
big.
seen dogs
That
that are
showed in
over
the
20.
ABKC?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm not gonna take. I'm
I
not
can
gonna
believe it.
discredit the dog. The dog was actually a good looking.
No, of course we love the dog. We love the big dog.
Yeah.
But there's a standard we gotta adhere to. We all gotta agree. We all got to.
Right. And
But that's
when
what I
we
was
start
saying.
holding
In the
each other
bully
accountable,
community, there's not really a standard,
Right.
though.
And
There's really not a standard.
where do we stop being bad guys for holding each other accountable?
And where do we stop
for-
being bad guys, right? That's where you got
Right.
drama versus just standard. You know what I mean? There's two
Right.
different things. Like, I ain't trying to start drama. I'm trying to push the standard.
Yeah.
Even if I gotta push you to the standard.
There's really not.
You know what
one in the
I'm
bully
saying?
community.
I love your dog,
You
but your
think about
dog
it,
is
really not.
outside of standard.
It's all over the place.
That's all you gotta do. I think you gotta just say stuff a little
It's
bit
been
more
like
love.
that
Like,
for
I love your
years.
dog, but it's
That's
outside of
why
standard.
That's why we're here.
But that's why we're here.
We're trying to get people to start breeding more towards the standard.
Yeah, you
know?
should tell them, I love your dog, but it's
Stop-
outside of standard. They can't get mad because you gave them a compliment. Still, they're like, damn it.
Well, I mean, I bet it's a
You know
scattered
what I
dog.
mean?
You know, it's probably
Yeah, it's still a good. And that's what I'm saying. Tell them it's a really beautiful
And
dog.
I think people
but it's
should
just
label
not
bullies as
standard.
bullies and pit bulls as pit bulls. They're two different things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we need to establish that also with blood, because a lot of people have the old school blood that is pit bull.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
people have the blood nowadays that is heavily influenced American bully. We're not
The
gonna
old
say that.
school blood that is bully. Some people got the old school blood that's pit, and the old school blood that is bully, as far as
Exactly.
foundation lines.
But it also
I'm one
got
of the
other.
people
It's
that got
always got
old
other
school
stuff.
blood,
mixed
yeah.
into it.
See, I have a bully bitch, that Whopper blood.
Yep.
When it comes back down to the Chevy bloodline, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and him have a dog that has similar ancestry, but
Well,
that
she
the
big
lineage
as
was
shit.
taken one
She
direction in his
bullied
in his
through and
pedigree,
through.
and mine
And that-
is
and
taken in a different direction.
basically the
But we
other
know
dog
the
is showing
difference.
through.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Also, I'm going to
that
breed
it
it a
was
certain way as
just
well. I'm not
showing.
going to just breed it back into a bully breed. I'm not going to breed it to a bully dog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And ruin that breed of dog. Like there's definitely a history. There's a line you got to know where your breeds separate. Period. There's a line in the history of the bully where the breed started and the breed separated, and a lot of people don't know that time frame. I think what happened is I was one of the like original, like I want to call them like original. You would call original bandwagon bully people. I already had American Pit Bulls, but I started breeding bullies before anyone knew what a bully was. You know what I'm saying? So then when bullies first came out, that's when we had like 7 different classifications of bullies, and there were only like 6 main bloodlines. You had like Gotti and Mike Lands, and you had some, Big GK. You had some Muggles. So you had like only a handful of big lines before everybody put their name on this shit, right? When that happened, we missed the gap of people who didn't do the research on their origin anymore. And now everybody's just getting into it without knowing the origin story and knowing where the breeds separated.
Yeah.
So therefore, how can you even know when you put 2 pedigrees together whether or not you're mixing breeds? You don't know when the shit separated. And I have this argument all the time because people go, your pits are so-and-so, your pits are so-and-so. I know exactly what my pits are.
Right.
I did that by design. Been doing it for a long time
people
by
are
design.
mislabeling.
But I also know where
Stop
my breeds
mislabeling
separate, so
dogs.
you can't question
You know what I
my
mean?
knowledge. I know my breed separated.
Right.
Versus new people who get on and don't know any of that.
Most
You know
of the
what I'm
people in the bully community
And that's
don't
where
know
a
what
huge
they
problem
have.
is.
Straight up.
They really do.
Now they don't know where it's
Because I can look at a dog and see a French mastiff.
horrible.
I look like a Turner and Hooch dog with some crop ears.
That's
You
a
can
French
see
doggy.
it.
Yeah, that's a
You can
French
see the
doggy.
jowl.
You can see it.
You
It's got the underbite.
You totally see it. And I'm not knocking it because I think some of them look really good. But I have a problem with people lying. Like
Yeah.
tell your clients what they get.
Right.
Don't say it's a pit bull when it's not. When it's got like 90% mastiff in it, or you got 80% English bull. Like tell them what it is. And I guess you say just classify it as a bully.
Yeah, they're
Because
just
bully can
taking
go either way. You can go English bulldog way or go to basketball.
Uneducated customer. I mean, at the end of the day, you're taking advantage of an uneducated customer.
Right.
And they still might be happy as hell.
Right.
They still might be happy as hell. They don't care. They're going down the street telling everybody, I got
They
a
don't
big
even
ass
care about
XL
health
pit bull.
issues.
And they don't care to be corrected. They don't even care.
They don't even care about health issues. Keep
Not
it
at all. They don't give a
They'll spend
goddamn.
10 G's on the dog that's not healthy. They don't care.
I've seen it.
I've seen it
You
too.
see these people who
Be
have
happy
Because
with
they
their
want a
train wreck.
Merle.
the dog damn near
Because they want
like
a
this.
They be happy with their train wreck, for
What?
real.
It's true. I want a Merle. So what do you get? A heart defect?
Oh my god.
I think some of the Merles could be
Potential
cool. I
blindness.
think Merles will get bred properly. Never do Merle to Merle though.
Well, then health test.
Never.
Yeah, just health test.
I've only ever.
If you really want to get
produced
into it,
one
just
Merle.
have tested, knowing that's what it comes with. If you're gonna get into something,
But you gotta know that that color came in from a different dog though.
Oh yeah.
That ain't, you know what I mean?
know your origin story. bro.
Yeah, it
we
came
do.
in from a different dog though.
It's
You know?
not a,
Same with
it's
the
not
tries
an
though.
bully.
Yeah.
Same with the tries though. That came in from a different dog.
It's true.
I like them, but you just gotta know where it came from. You know? But I like them. I ain't knocking it. I like them actually, but it's just you gotta know where it came from. You had to use another dog to make that.
Right.
And then you just keep going into bully or
Just
kick
like
it.
every other fucking breed that's ever been created.
That's it.
Do your research, man. You know what I'm saying? And then the right. If you talking to a legit person, asking them questions should not shake them. Period.
Nah.
They should have all the answers.
Anybody
They
ask
should all the
them
answers.
exactly what I did.
If they claim it,
You break a rail, I'm gonna
they
tell you
claim they
exactly
know
what
they're
they
doing. They should already have all the
And
answers.
it's gonna be in the paperwork. You can see it.
Yeah, and then you should be able
My
to
paperwork
physically
is
see
legit.
it when you get it. It should all make sense.
Right.
And if you're a new person getting into the dogs, that breeder should be happy to educate you because you're getting a piece of their legacy, a piece of their work. They shouldn't be okay with it just going blindly to just some fuck all person who's not going to take care of it, and then it's in the shelter in 2 weeks, or it's dead because they didn't get the parvo shots, or it's not trained. Back to subject one, it's not trained just simply because they thought they knew what they were doing or they didn't do enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like most real breeders and will actually invest to teach you so you can take care of their product. You're on your own. They'll teach you.
They want you to succeed. They want
you to
that
succeed
dog
with
to
what they worked hard on. You know
Because
what
your
I mean?
name is on the line.
I built this by hand, so
You
I'm
do
not gonna
bad
give it to
business,
you. You don't know
your
what you're
kennel
doing.
is gonna be like, don't buy from that dude because he do some shady business. You know what I mean? On the real. So integrity goes a long way because
Exactly, integrity versus
right.
greed again, bro.
It's
All
gonna
this separates
come
a lot.
out to her like, dude, like yeah, he do some janky business. My dog ended up dying, or he had a defect, or this. And once that starts coming out, then you ain't coming no more money.
We see it all the time on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Don't buy from this dude. That
Oh,
whole
yeah.
picture. They got a whole family on this shit.
Yeah, like,
Or they're getting dogs,
Yeah.
or they're getting dogs, and they never get the paperwork.
Bro.
Right.
Or they're using somebody else's
That's
paperwork
what
from a
it
dog that was dead 20 years.
Right. Right.
I done seen it all.
Or people hang the paperwork.
All the time. That's all.
Hang
They do
it.
that now to this day. That's still going on.
That's gonna happen no matter what you do. Paper hanging is
Yeah.
gonna happen no
And
matter
sometimes
what.
it's not even
no
the
one can
breeder's
stop
fault.
paper hanging.
It was already like
Yeah,
that
breeders
before
don't
they got
even
the
know.
dog.
Some
You see
people
what I'm
do.
saying?
You can't do nothing
Sometimes
about
it's not
it.
the breeder's fault.
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah, it's just
Keeps
gonna
going
happen.
down
It's gonna
to
happen with any breed of dog.
inconsistency, man.
Right. I'm telling you, if you know dogs, you can see the Prussia Canario in the dog. You can see the French Mastiff in the dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All that time. You can see it in there. You can see the English Bulldog in there. You can see the traits.
Right.
Like if you know dogs, you can see those traits.
So look, I had a guy recently on social media. He tried to like tag me and say that
Oh,
I sold him a dog. This is different. It might be different. This might be something else. But I had a guy tag me and say that I sold him a dog that's unstable and tried to attack somebody. And I'm like, and he went on several of my pictures
Bro.
posting the same thing. And obviously it's spam at that point.
Bro, I bet it's the same
But
dude who we were
It might have been
talking about.
spamming, but I don't know. I didn't know the person. I didn't, the person's account probably was fake, whatever it was. But at that point, when someone starts doing things like that, it's my responsibility to address those rumors.
Absolutely.
I don't participate in rumors, but I must educate my following
Right.
with facts. That's all I'm here for. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm here to just state a couple facts and then I'm out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because people do read comments. Simple enough, even if people read comments. We all do. Sometimes we just don't scroll, we go, ooh, wee, I ain't saying nothing, but boy, that was right there. Everyone does it. So I understand that I'm a professional, and even though I might not want to address this idiot who's lying, sometimes I have to drop facts for my audience, point blank, period. Right? But at the same time, knowing my history, knowing that I'm responsible, this guy's comment was obviously fake. I'm like, well, you told me first off that you bought a dog from me 7 years ago that attacked somebody. In my head, boom, boom, never had a litter 7 years ago. I know each one of my litters was born because I was there for each one of them. So I know exactly I never had a litter 7 years ago. Lie. Second off, every dog that I train, every dog that I sell, I offer training with. I even offer a lifetime extension to call me anytime you develop a hair problem. So you shouldn't have made it 7 years with the dog's attacking people. You ain't called me once in 7 years. Again, a flag. You know what I mean?
To me, that's
another
not-
flag. It's
to
like,
me,
come on now. I
that's
offer
not-
training and my number. So you can't tell me the dog got that bad and you ain't never talked to me once.
But to me, that's not necessarily on a breeder. If you bought a dog, say at 10 weeks, and then he grows up and starts hurting people, how is that the breeder's fault? If you didn't take your due diligence to get that dog trained.
No, for sure it's not.
Now, on the flip side,
It's not the breeder's fault, but it still can look bad on you when people start posting. I bought this dog from so-and-so. That's the only reason I'm saying you got to address your audience, not necessarily that antagonist. You know what I mean?
This is what I do think is bad. If you got a bloodline that's known for attacking and killing people, and then you keep breeding that, then that's all bad.
Right.
Because it's heavily like inbred.
But you know yourself,
and that's bad.
seen problems, right?
Yeah, that's bad. Because you know your dog got a history doing that. I wouldn't breed that.
Started known for biting people. Everybody heard about that line, right? We won't name the line.
I know the line. I know what you're talking about.
We don't need to name lines.
You shouldn't be breeding that stuff.
Right.
You shouldn't be breeding that stuff.
And it's still being bred heavily.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because
I've seen
there was a
them.
dog last year that attacked and killed a kid that was the line.
that same line?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. To me, that shouldn't be. That's the line that should just.
But that's when temperament and training is not even being considered when it comes to the breed. You know, a lot of people are just speedballing and trying to make a package, and a package from a visual standpoint, not from an internal standpoint, because a package obviously consists of inside and outside. You get what I'm saying? I don't want a hollow box that's pretty, but the box is fucking empty.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? People are building a dog that's pretty on the outside and has no substance as a structure and as a temperament. The dog is a Jenga block of issues. I can attest to this because all I do is train bad dogs.
And if you got a heavy line of health issues, you shouldn't be breeding.
And again, then you perpetuate a health issue, perpetuating bad temperament, perpetuating aggressiveness in a breed that's supposed to actually be non-aggressive, but you haven't stopped to correct that along the way because you have a pretty dog.
It's a problem if you breeding these dogs and they dying at like 5 years old, 6, 7. That's bad breeding.
Yeah, 5, 6.
Dog,
five,
the bully
6
community
is
should live at least to be
health problem.
My dogs live at least to be 14 to 16 years old.
I got a 9-year-old still dropping litters, bro.
That's what I'm saying. But that's good stuff though.
good.
That's good stuff though. But if it's dying at like 3 years old, 4 years old, that's like that ain't cool. You drop 10 G's on a dog that lived to be 4. That ain't cool. And it's consistently happening to every dog you produce. That's just not cool to me.
I got a dog that's at the crib. He's 9, just old school edge blood, and this dog runs circles
That's
around.
what I'm saying. That's what I like. That's that good stuff. Now I like that.
Just runs circles around
Yep.
my dog.
My dog's 7 and he's still crazy. His dad lived to be what 14 and his dad was 150. But I mean, and that's not common for like a bigger dog. They usually
150.
They usually what do 7 that weight?
They usually die at about 7 to 9. He lived to be 13.
Yeah, that weight, that's a lot of weight on a big dog, so you usually don't live that long. Yeah.
And he was athletic. That's what I like. See, I want a big dog. He can be 150, but he got to be able to move. I don't want just a big dog. He needs to be an athlete.
That's me. I want a big dog too, but I want a certain breed because I know that breed carries the structure and soundness the way I want. That's again me knowing my research. I'm not going to try to force that on a breed that's not meant for it. And I'm not going to take a breed and try to bulk it up and then it's not in its ideal form. It's struggling. I'll find the breed that fits the actual, the criteria that I'm looking for. You know what I mean?
For training, it makes training so much easier.
Versus your American Pit Bull Terrier and your Frenchies, you're gonna take a little bit more harder approach on your Frenchies because of what obviously the health issues and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Frenchies need a lot more culling and a lot more culture. I mean, in the nurturing to make sure that I don't perpetuate anything negative, right, out of a French versus American Pit. You can almost, for the most part, can see most health signs in the dog. You know what I'm saying? You can see them, and then you can obviously cull that and test for them. But yeah, you're gonna obviously separate each breed and treat it accordingly. I think too. I'm not gonna sit here and try to force. I'm not gonna breed unhealthy Frenchies just to breed Frenchies.
Just to get the money out.
Just to breed Frenchies.
Breed is better than breed, period.
Yeah, and obviously
breeds are better than breed.
Frenchies are totally different world, dude.
Frenchies are a different world.
For a minute, and then
depending on the community, it's so different. Yeah.
Color testing.
Frenchies took
and then it's still a novelty breed at the end of the day, right? People want all these requirements, and it's still a novelty, versus some of these other ones that don't.
The reasoning being is because there were so many defects going on. Everybody wants to know what the hell's going on.
And that's great. And that's when you're actually adhering to standard and keeping healthy dogs, because you're forcing a certain expectation on the actual breeders. But now no one's forcing expectation on the breeders because no one wants to offend anybody. You know what I'm saying? No one wants to offend anybody, so no one's forcing any sort of adherence.
I've never done no genetic DNA testing before until 3 years ago?
I think last year, 2 years, 2 years ago, you were telling me you started adding it in,
adding it in, went to my Frenchies, but
dude,
it's totally different.
You know what I noticed about the Utah dog community?
What's that?
Mixed breeds do very well out here. I've seen mixed breeds sell out here for 5, 10 G's.
I'll say
no papers. No papers.
Wow.
Why is that?
Well, a big part of why I think is because this is still partially like a farm community.
Yeah.
People don't really see the point of breeds or even
value in purity.
In California, you're not getting away with everybody want paperwork. Here,
right?
They're not tripping. I know somebody they do Bernese Mountain Dog with like
A
a poodle.
poodle.
And they getting 5 G's a puppy with no paper.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, this is crazy. I've never seen this
A
before.
Bernedoodle.
Right.
Yep.
I've seen
Very
people take like a
popular.
Rottweiler with no papers, put minimal training into them, they sell them for 10 G's. I'm like, this is crazy. I've never seen this in California. Out here, they selling out here. Like non-paper dogs sell well out here, and mixed breed dogs sell well out here. Those, what are them things? Labradoodles?
Golden
Them
doodles.
things go for like 25,000.
With no paper.
With no papers. I'm like, I've never heard of this
And
before.
the most pointless damn dogs.
You check those dogs out, and a lot of them ain't healthy, bro.
Mm-mm.
A lot of them crazy. Yeah.
And
a
their
lot of them
temperaments
got-
are
Oh, they
weird.
mean.
Their temperaments are
You're,
weird.
you're
They're
mixing
mean.
two
Their
different
temperaments are really
style
weird. I've been around
dogs
a
to
couple of
one.
times.
That's amazing to me that these dogs are so expensive with no paperwork and they're mixed, and people in Utah do not
They'll pay
care.
for it.
Everybody's
They're paying for
spending on
hypoallergenic. That's what they're paying for. They're paying for
And they're not even
hypoallergenic.
all hyper.
And they're not.
That's not even true.
Not.
That ain't even true. That's a lie.
It's what
It's
you said
not.
earlier, trend. It's a
It's
trend.
a trend,
Everybody
bro.
jumping on a trend.
It's
because
crazy. I was amazed at like that's crazy. Like you selling this non-paper dog that you just made up, and you getting 5 to 10 G's for it.
A mud. You're
That's
selling
it's
a mud.
crazy. It's crazy to me. And that's big out here in Utah. In California, they're a little bit different. They're like,
She
nah,
works at a
man.
boarding facility. She gets those
Sees it every
every
day.
day.
Which ones? The Labradoodles?
Labradoodles, Bernedoodles,
The golden doodles have
Pomskies,
bit us the
fucking
most.
spaghetti noodles.
Yeah.
Dude, a guy
The
who
Temperaments
minis.
just don't match.
Yeah, the guy who was doing the AI on one said that was like the worst dog he's ever dealt with. One of those little
Can you
doodle
imagine
dogs.
the mini golden doodles?
My neighbor had one. My neighbor had one. Couldn't control it. Got rid of
It
it.
was weird, bro.
And they getting all that money for those dogs.
Yeah.
I thought about getting into that game just because they make some money.
Money, yeah.
It's not my type of dog, but I mean, on the business side of it, I was like, maybe.
Anybody get it? Sounds really good.
Some money for us.
But it's like
being honorable.
it's with the consumer wants stuff. It's with the
I need to
consumer
take care of
wants.
all these
Utah
dogs.
people want Labradoodles. Okay, I'll make Labradoodles. That's what they want.
When they do like Bernedoodles,
Yes.
East Mountain Dog is a guardian dog.
It's a dark breed and a big breed.
That's
and he's
gonna
got size.
attract.
You're mixing two different style
That is
dogs
scary.
together. You don't
And
know
then
what
people
you're
are buying them though out here. Like I
They're
see,
like,
I
they're cute.
can
And
be
just
any
treat
given
them like
day
it's
driving
just
down the
rolling
street,
to the
and I'm gonna
perfect
see one of
class.
those.
Like, no, that ain't
I'm
lasting,
gonna mix
bro.
a German Shepherd with a Pomeranian. I'm
I mean, but think
Going
about
ham
the
on
fluffies
people's
though.
calves. Somebody hire calves, you know what I'm saying?
Somebody basically made it the
Yeah, I
fluffy.
need to buy
Here
a
you go.
calf biter for
Canine
dinner.
unit.
They got fluffies
Miniature
going. They
Robbie.
got fluffies selling for
Calf
200,000. A fluffy 200
bro.
G's.
Oh, yeah.
I have a buddy up in Washington. He's got 5 fluffies, bro. 50K a pop.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you build the market, you can sell anything.
RMRB's gonna have
You
some
just catch
fluffies
that
coming
fad.
soon.
You just catch that fad. That's
It's
how you
true.
catch the wave.
RMRB's gonna be paying for all future podcast shows.
Sponsors. Big sponsor. Cater.
I'm gonna start breeding goats with pigs and selling them. I'm gonna call it the pig oak. This is the pig oak breed.
If it's new, it'll sell. That's for sure. I promise. If it's new, no matter what it
And
is.
people will buy it. They call them the pig oaks. The new pig oaks. People will buy it. I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
Gosh.
Well, I think some couple key points that we touched on was consistency. Look for an actual, somebody that you feel comfortable with as a trainer that's professional.
Do your research.
Do your research. And what else was you gonna say? A couple key points for the people?
I would say go see how they interact with their personal dogs and try to see at least 1 to 3 dogs that they personally train themselves. And that's going to tell you how good of a trainer they are. The dog is going to let you know how good of a trainer they are.
That's the resume. Check the resume.
That's the main. The dog is going to tell you.
Right.
I would also say prepare whenever you get a puppy. Prepare to invest at least 1.5 to 2 years of structure and training on that dog. The reason why is he's still a puppy for 1.5 to 2 years. You cannot give him adult freedom with puppy tendencies, and you will avoid a lot of problems just by being on top of your dog for the first 2 years. And you train your dog for 2 years, you got a good dog for the rest of your life. You don't train your dog for 2 years, you got a bad dog for the rest of his life.
I
You
think
pick
it's an
and
everyday
choose.
thing for the
You
life
pick
of a
and choose
dog.
what you want to do.
It's
you know?
every day.
Consistency.
Well,
Yeah, it's
obviously
every day,
after
like
2
you
years you
said,
stay on the dog, but if you could put a good 2 years of dog, you avoid a lot of
For the
bad problems.
foundation, that's
And you
what you
and you
said.
know your
Yeah.
dog now, and you now know your dog's behaviors, its habits. You can predict your dog versus being behind all the bad problems, being behind them.
You're more set up to help the dog versus you're a hindrance.
Yeah,
The reason
you're
why
gonna
I
be a
say,
better trained. You're gonna be better suited to actually be lead it for sure.
the reason why I say
You're
structure should be implemented into a dog forever is because I've seen dogs that have 2 years of solid training, maybe 3, and it's like the dog is on point, and then the owners don't train it anymore, and the dog becomes wild. So they can lose it depending on what you do with that
Oh, yeah.
dog. So I
Training
think
is a
it's an
muscle.
everyday job.
Training is the muscles. Keep it flex.
Yes,
Work
yeah.
that muscle.
Just like a kid. You let a kid get away with, if you let a kid be a kid for, let's say, 7, and then all of a sudden he turns to a teenager, you stop using the structure, you never gave it to begin with, that kid is going to be a menace, it's going to be a problem.
It's gonna be worse than you ever experienced.
Right.
before.
That's the same thing with a dog. Like it has to be structured for the lifespan of the dog.
Y'all got it there?
Yeah.
Y'all right there. We
Good
appreciate
luck.
y'all
Start
taking
early.
in.
Stay committed.
Yep.
Yep, you've been live in the doghouse.
Woo woo.
Yep, yeah. Stay tuned.
Hey, be on the lookout for them piglets.